Pretty good. Jamie, how you doing, mate? Steve, how you doing? Good to see you. I think a notification might come through in a minute, I guess. Yeah, let's get that squared away. Yeah, how's everybody doing? Everybody's week going well? Get this music sorted out. Yeah, week is off to a good start. Can't believe it's end of Tuesday already, but yeah, we are good. Let's get this sorted out. Find the correct window. Got me one of these. Oh really, Jamie? Okay. Didn't get it. Okay, weird. Yeah. Maybe because I got shadow banned because of Sin's photo last week. Maybe that's it. I actually wasn't sure whether I did get banned or not, because the wording was kind of ambiguous. Like, yeah, you broke the rules. Okay, like I was expecting there to be some punishment, but it's like, this is clearly not for kids. It's like, I'm pretty sure the stream definitely says 18 plus. Like, I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to do. Yeah, that bloody photo. No, I know, right? I should have known. You know, in the back of my head, I was like, Sin has made the censorship on this very small, and not only that, but they kind of, like, the censorship hearts almost look like nipples to begin with. It's just like, yeah, it was just asking for trouble. Yeah, absolutely asking for trouble. I should have known better, really. Yeah. Like we were saying, it's one of those things where censorship is not the same everywhere, right? It's different for different platforms. It's kind of wild. Raz, how you doing, mate? Yeah. And yeah, speaking of that, one of the models that I work with, I think maybe it was one of you guys. Hey, Steve, I think maybe you sent me this. Anna, the Anna girl who just did a photo book, and I was saying to him that basically she's got like well over a million subscribers on YouTube, but she's kind of like shadow banned into the shadow realm of obscurity. Like you can't, you won't ever get recommended the videos or come across it. She's one of those girls that does like the try on hauls, where she buys tiny outfits and then kind of tries them on and reviews them. But yeah, she's got like well over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and it's just like there's got to be this whole other kind of corner of YouTube that you just never ever find unless you're like actively type in the name, or like find a link to it. Like, YouTube will never actively show it to you. I just find it hilarious. Like, even though she's practically banned, she still has well over 1 million subscribers. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. When I do my next shoot, gonna have to be careful what I share next. I mean, look, I should have known better, really. Yeah. I think we'll be fine. Yeah. I definitely should have known better. Yeah. Although saying that, I think she actually YouTube did just ban her. So they obviously cracking down on the try-on hauls, which is going to be my next big venture. Gonna make some mad cash from that. But yeah, how's everybody doing? And you been busy, Jamie? You been shooting much, or are you taking a break after your book? Packed it in, had enough. Yeah. So you could do your next shoot. So you are gonna do some more shoots then, Jamie. Yeah. Let's have a look. What we got? Everybody posted their image in the share a shoot. Yeah. Everybody done that. Yeah. Speaking of shoots, got our mutual friend Sophie Roach coming back next couple of weeks. Oh, nice. Yeah, she get back into modelling, but on more personal stuff. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, could be 10 years since I worked with her. I came across like an extremely old article, or I was commissioned by Bowens to write on their like their OG universal spot attachment, which at the time was absolutely just awesome. Right? It had a lens on the front, like the optical snoots that you see now with camera lenses and that sort of stuff. But this one was the OG. It had it was a small lens. It was only like that. But it was a purpose-built lens that went on the front of it, and you could focus it, and you get these beautiful kind of hard light effects. And back in the day, that was really kind of one of the only ways using studio equipment to get this razor-sharp shadows with the gobos and that sort of stuff. That was the one that they kind of adapted for Pro Photo at the time as well. But yeah, it was the last time I worked with her. Was on that. It was a long time ago. Yeah. Right. Let's see what we got here. So, get this sorted out. Get this lined up. I should have done this before we went live, but nobody's surprised. Boom, there you go. I haven't been shooting because compared to last year, it's been dead. I'd rather get paid than mess about. Also, it's been a crap year on a personal level. That'll do it, man. That will do it. Yeah. Nothing more demotivating to do something creative than personal shit, for sure. Yeah. How did you like this photo? This is actually going to be part of the new workshop, Raz. So, although I do share a lot of my lighting techniques and that sort of stuff for free, this is what one of the setups on the new workshop. So. It'll be a part of that, but I'm sure for the most part you can work out roughly what's going on here. It's just like the real technique here is how to get such soft colors and tones without it kind of bleaching out the color. Yeah. But thank you. Glad you like it though. If you're just joining the stream and you haven't shared your image in the share a shoot, then this is the place to do it. Let's have a look. Ask Google about this page. I'm good, thanks. So I'll just pop the link in there. Yeah, and pop your image in the comments here. We got a few this week. Nothing crazy, which is fine. Steve, I must thank you for for these recommendations. Yeah, never assume that I'm aware of any new releases. Trust me. Yeah, I definitely wasn't scrabbling through the news just before I went live for stuff to bring up. So yeah, I'm always very appreciative of your shout outs and links. I managed to grab them before we went live, so we will take a look. Interesting on those Nanlite ones, right? Interesting. I hadn't seen those, although I think I had like subconsciously on Instagram as like an advert or something. I didn't really twig, and then I googled the what are these, the Nanlite Micro 30Cs and 60Cs, and that's very reminiscent of certain lights. Yeah, I did send you that Kojima video. You did, yeah, you did. What Jamie's talking about there is Hideo Kojima, the very famous game director, was doing like a colored lighting workshop or something like that. It was terrible, man. Look, don't get me wrong, the man is an absolute genius. He is like unequivocally gifted. But yeah, that is like colored lighting. Not his forte. It was absolutely terrible. Yeah. It was gold. Yeah, it was gold. If I didn't, I was about to open it up then, and I was like, I've only got a copy of the one from Jamie's message, and I won't open up my my DMs from Jamie. Yeah, but yeah, thank you for that. I actually hadn't seen that, Jamie. Yeah, apparently I was talking to somebody else in the I sent it to somebody else in the gaming industry who I know fairly well, and has been to like my workshops and stuff in the past, and he's kind of into photography as well, and apparently that is from a while back. That shoot was from a while back, so God knows what that was for. Okay. So you also sent me the light mons as well, which is the new Godox lights. Have a look at those. It's kind of weird what Godox is doing with light mons as a field of lights that are different to the regular Godox lights, but you know, we can have a look at that as well. Okay, so let's jump into a couple of bits here. So, like, first off, talking about flash from Godox. We got the Godox releases the updated AD400 Pro 2. So, like, as I'm sure you're aware, there is already an original one, the AD400 Pro, and they were fine. They've had many iterations of this over the year, and they've had many updates, decent ones as well. You know, you can even see the design is kind of clean, but not over the top or anything. Updated this over the years, which is very cool. This light stand bracket, you know, the handle at the back, as you know, kind of a couple of nice design features. Very exposed flash tube, which is always, in my opinion, a good thing. So look, you know, these are good lights. So all-in-one outdoor flash. So usual stuff, right? The battery powered 400 watts is like 90% of the shoots that any of us do. 400 is probably going to be enough, and you know, unless you're trying to overpower the sun, like that one person always asks, like, yeah, it's going to be more than enough for what most of us do. So we got ultra fast freeze mode. We kind of have a look at the specs in a minute, but you know, you can see what they're trying to do in like the flash duration is going to be even shorter on this one. It's got another, so versus the older model, it's got like another stop of adjustment here. So I think the previous one had like 9 stops of adjustment. This one's got 10. So like there's you know, little bits of incremental changes. This one also has the ability to change the modeling bulb in terms of the color slightly, and I think the exposure. The exposure. So 30 watt, which is, you know, it's fine. 30 watts is enough. From 10% to 100%. So being able to change that is pretty cool. And 2800 to 6000 is useful as well, right? Being able to change the color of that as well. So again, the old one didn't have that, which was nice. Wireless business with the new triggers and that sort of thing. So yeah, I will say their trigger system is excellent, very, very good. Yeah, really surprised. Some buttons on the side, which is always useful. I don't like everything to be tucked away in the menu, so it's nice to have quick access. That's kind of cool. So yeah. Let's give you. Oh, I didn't see this image before. This is interesting. So the 8200s that most people have is just like a speed light, right? That is actually smaller than I thought it was. 84. That's what we were looking at there. That thing is tiny for a 400 watt head. Damn. Okay. I hadn't seen that image a minute ago, and I was looking at this. Okay. I mean, that is, yeah, pretty usable. 2 kilos, 400 watts. It's, like I said, it's going to get most of the things done. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, very cool. Okay. So I just asked ChatGTP just to go, look, what's the difference between the old one and the new one here? And you know, you got to be careful when you do this with ChatGTP because it's obviously pulling data from adverts, right? I mean, that's pretty much all it's doing, especially on a product that hasn't been out yet and there isn't many user reviews and all that sort of stuff. So you got to be worried because it's going to be very biased based on it pulling stuff from advertising material. But you know, for the most part, it should give you like a clearer picture of A difference versus B difference. So power adjustment from. So basically, you're getting like an extra stop at the bottom end in terms of power, which is, so you should be able to go, if I'm reading that right, like half a stop. Yeah, so it should be a stop darker, so you can close it down even more. Okay, could be useful. Yeah. So very fast flash duration. So the one before was 12,000. So this one is so 27,000. Now, typically this is where you kind of want to look at, like if I was reviewing this now and I'm looking at these stats, I've got questions in my mind. Historically, many strobes work on the premise of like the lower the power of the strobe, right? The lower the flash power, the less kind of flash that's going out there. So typically that means that the flash is set to its lowest power. So here we've got 1/256, and then here we've got 1/5112. So essentially what it's saying there is you can turn it down even lower. So does that now mean that when it's super low, they're able to get this figure? Which kind of makes sense, right? Half the time here, one stop lower. So that would be something that I would check. So again, like we're seeing more and more of these companies kind of fudging the numbers a little bit. So it's just something to be wary of. And if I was reviewing that, that's kind of one of the things that I would need to be looking at. Can you only access this flash duration when it's just doing just like a tiny bit of light? But yeah, I have to see. So big upgrade to the modeling bulb there, just in terms of the adjustability, flicker free, so it's going to be fine for video and all that sort of stuff. So power wise, and also the ability to change the Kelvin range on it. So yeah. It's a regular monochrome screen on the last one, so just the white and blue one, whatever it was, dark black and blue one. This one full color. Okay. Useful for choosing anything in there. So they've got to show the screen there. Okay, so it's going to be pretty much exactly the same as the speed light. Was it X100 or something, or V100 or something, whatever it is I reviewed the other day. So nothing in there that really uses the color, but still nice to have, right? Wireless sync, yeah, we're talking about that. Battery performance, up to 460. Okay, so again, right? So 460 full power flashes. Okay. Is it? Yeah, I presume it's the battery that's more efficient than the light itself. So I wonder if the batteries are cross compatible, backwards compatible. I doubt it, right? High speed sync up to 8,000 per second. Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay, cool. There you go. Full extra stop down. Okay, so ChatGPT does know that. Then okay. Faster freezing. Yeah. Just got. So maybe it's your phone then, Jamie. I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure it's the system. Yeah. Okay. So useful specs there. It's kind of cool that ChatGPT breaks it down at the end there. That's cool. Bottom line. Oh, it does have the ability to plug in the power. So you can't plug these into the wall. I suppose the older ones you couldn't actually. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. These are the older batteries that I remember using. And yeah, you're right. You couldn't plug it into the wall, but I guess with this attachment you can. That's kind of cool. So bottom line, the Godox 8400 Pro 2 is more than just a refresh, offers significant functional upgrades, better motion freezing. So yeah, you'll be able to get if it doesn't require you just to set it at its lowest power. More nuanced power control, so that extra stop at the bottom or at the bottom end, enhance user experience, improve battery performance. Okay. I don't know. If you already had the original Pro, I don't think you'd need to replace them, but they will certainly be able to work alongside them. And look, this is the reality of flashes right now. People aren't, companies aren't really going out of their way to kind of dump a ton of R&D into revolutionizing flashes. So when we do see these upgrades, they're certainly just going to be smaller, right? Nothing groundbreaking. Does anybody shoot with Godox Flash at the moment? This is the one that Steve sent me, the Lightmon. So this is LED, right? So they brought these out, and I've mentioned this to you before, but when I was working with Godox several months ago, early in the year, and I was kind of quizzing them, I was like, look, can you clarify, because we have Godox, then we have no LED, and then we have Lightmons. Like, what are we kind of doing here? Like, where is the line? Like, who are they for, and that sort of stuff. So the Godox brand is what most of you and I are going to know, right? So like most of the lights that we use, the ones that we just saw like a minute ago, the 8400s, the 8200s, the little baby ones, even up to the 500s, 600s, like the traditional strobes, flashes, that's the Godox brand that most of us know. Then you have the NOLED, which is going to be like the cinema line of, as far as I'm aware, all LEDs, but they're like huge LED heads for, you know, being on film sets and that sort of stuff, and they're trying to push into that market, but definitely the top end. And, you know, the prices go up considerably, right? You know, 1200 watt LED and all that sort of stuff that's really sending a lot of light down range. And then you have the Lightmons, which is their, I wouldn't even call it their budget range, really. I think that it's Godox's attempt to kind of captivate a newer generation of filmmakers, photographers, content creators, and that sort of thing. And that seems to be what it's targeted at. And the reason I say that is because I was seeing so much overlap and crossover between some of their Lightmons lights and some of the LED lights that are in the Godox range, the traditional Godox range, right? So it's interesting to see them doubling down on this, and we're just going to see them bringing out more and more kind of lights in this Lightmons range that is almost a kind of duplicate of what they already have in the Godox lineup. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. I was checking out the Lightmons. I've got an eye on those Nanlite 500 you've got. I mean, yeah, they're good. They are very, very good. I tell you what, we'll get onto that in a minute, Jamie. I tell you what, I was really impressed at. I did that water shoot the other day, and I was using that baby Nanlite, which is like a 120 power, and it's like tiny. It is like tiny, yeah. And I was kind of sus, right? I mean, they sent it to me, and I'm like, what am I going to use this? And it came with its own kind of projection unit. But if you see it's tiny, right? It fits in like a tiny bag, and I was really impressed with it. And yeah, I mean, I'd be tempted to kind of get a few more of those, and on shoots that you just don't need like the full kit. If you're in like a dark studio, like those 120s are going to do it, man. So I mean, like what is it? 120 to like 300 to then maybe 500. So what is it, like a stop and a half darker? Like the 500 watt head is going to be like a stop and a half brighter. So it's not a huge amount, and it's tiny. But so yeah, these Lightmons here, well, we got bicolor LEDs. So they brought out 200, 300, and 600. Look, Godox is renowned for just bringing out a ton of products, right? Do we need, like, this is, what is this? This is like, so this one is half a stop brighter than this one, right? So 200, if we wanted it to be one stop brighter, it would be 400 watts, right? So this 300 is half a stop brighter. Do we really need this here? Do we really need this 300? Like, okay, cool, to keep the 200, but it just seems weird to me that you have like bring out a whole other light that's, who knows, like, what do I know, right? But yeah, it's there if you need it. So again, similar sort of thing, right? In terms of the kelvins, let's have a look at what we got here. Yeah, okay, unmatched brightness. It's pretty bright. Yeah. TLCI 98 and CRI 98. That is good. That is good. I mean, most people are at least 97, so this is definitely not a cheap cop out alternative. You know, that it's good. It's good for sure. Yeah. 2800 to 6,500. So kind of what we were looking at in the strobe a minute ago, right? So not huge range, but big enough for like the vast majority of people, right? Now Steve pointed this out to me, which I kind of didn't really pick up on, because I see it on other lights as well, but we got the DMX here. So, like Steve pointed out in his comment on Facebook earlier on, it's just like kind of weird that it's this kind of lower end, but also has the ability to be used in far larger setups and that sort of thing as well. So, I mean, look, from their point of view, like, we got space on the back, why not add it? But yeah, it's interesting to see them adding that to their kind of, in my opinion, almost lower end range, you know. But decent lights for sure. Yeah. So this is kind of like the base one in the traditional Godox world, right? This black one here, which is so the 200 by. So this is the original one. I've got I think I've got a 150 full RGB one, right, of this exact model, right? So again, I was like, ChatGPT, you know, like what's the difference here? What are we doing? Like, how much of a step up is this 200 Lightmons compared to the OG 200 from Godox? And I mean, like, the original one is pretty old. It talks about the zoomable LED thing here. It just means that you see this dial here, it just moves that bulb in and out. Like, occasionally you may use that, but calling it zoomable is marketing at best. Yeah, color accuracy, so yeah, a little bit higher. The effects, controls, yeah, boom boom. So yeah, a little bit higher with the new one. Yeah, okay. Scroll down here a minute. Summary table. So same. So zoom capacity is what we just talked about. So no, we don't really need it anyway. So the LE is the new one. So a little bit tighter on the color control. Same effects and that sort of stuff. So, like, very small upgrades. You know, it just seems like Godox is trying to bring out this new range to try and target like a new generation, right? Same as the younger generation don't want to use the kit that their parents are using, right? The crappy old kit. They want the newer thing, and maybe that's kind of Godox's mindset, is to bring out this new line that is easy to be marketed as new. But really, I think if you had the old one here, I can see no reason at all to kind of upgrade to the newer Lightmons version, other than slightly more compact and that sort of thing, really. Yeah. On Instagram, I saw that you had a Sony for some reason. I thought you used DSLRs. On Instagram, I saw that you had a Sony. Not me, Raz. No, maybe on Instagram it was me with the XQD card that I was using, which is a Sony card. Somebody else commented on the Sony card. Maybe that's what you were looking at, Raz. But yeah, no, I don't own a Sony camera. No, and I do still shoot the DSLRs. So that camera that you saw me drying out this card and then putting back in the camera was the Nikon D850, which is a DSLR. Yeah. Jake went to Sony with a 10-foot cattle prod. Look, it's just, you know, I mean, I am curious as to what the newer ones are like. It's been many years since I tested a Sony for review, and I mean, you know, so I am kind of curious, but allergic to mirrorless. I mean, there is a little bit of that. Yeah. James says, I was checking out the Lightmons, but I've got my own. And not found it yet. Thought I saw the XQT card drying out of rice. That's the one, Raz. Yeah. So it's just a Sony card. Yeah. And okay, so cards on the table here, Raz. The D850 for the most part, takes these, right? Which is what I mean. This is a 32 gig SD card, right? That's what I've been using for generations, right? And the D850 is now getting tired that the cards aren't sticking in, you know, because you just click them in and then you click it again and it pops out. So they aren't sticking in, so I just bought a bunch of the XQD cards instead. That's the only reason, man. That's the only reason. This is it. When you do photography as a job, like your tools become just that, right? You certainly don't do what I do. I'm getting my money's worth out of that D850. I tell you that. Yeah. Plus the fact it's an excellent camera. Yeah. That would be useful on 120C used. A bit how I pair with the EOS 2 and the EOS 3. Yeah. I think it's in the other room actually. Yeah. Just give me 2 seconds, Jim. I'll just show you. I'll just grab it. Just give me 2 seconds. I really don't think me talking about it can really do the thing justice. So this is the traditional 500, yeah. So this is kind of what we're used to, and it's got like it's got a ballast and control box, whatever hanging off this as well. So 500, yeah, full RGB. And then this little baby thing here is the 120. Right. Now it has a little power pack that plugs into it as well, but it's really impressive. The thing weighs absolutely nothing, and like I said, what are we talking about? Like a stop and a half darker. So you're just talking about from ISO 100 to 300 or something like that is just kind of nothing at all, right? If that was what you were talking about. But yeah, I was really impressed with this. Yeah, really impressed with this. So, again, it was one of those things that I didn't ask for this. They kind of sent it to me, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, with this little thing. And then I started to use it, and genuinely, like, damn, yeah. Now this is like a plastic thing here, right? So I don't know, in the box it came with an S-Fit converter, which is kind of cool. So you just have like this little S-Fit converter on here because this is like a baby S-Fit. So I don't know how much weight you would want to put on the front of this, like a massive softbox on this plastic thing here. But for just regular shooting with regular modifiers, like a beauty dish or something like that, which I've actually used this with a pop-up beauty dish. Very impressed. Yeah, very impressed. But that's the Nanlite FC 120C. Yeah. Finally catching the live stream. Hey, doing, Trevor? Yeah. Oh, better late than never. No, you're good. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for everything you bring to the community. Hey, no worries, man. Thank you for kind words. Glad you find it useful. Yeah. Right, whilst he's gone, stop and a half, I can live with that. Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. 2 and a bit, 120, 240, 48 is 2 stops. 120, I mean, yeah, okay. Fair enough. Yeah. 120, yeah, I was thinking, I was rounding. Yeah, I was going to 150 to 300 to 600, but you're right, yeah. That's my fault for rounding, you're right, yeah. So yeah, like from ISO 100 to 400 or something like that. It's just like for that, you could happily carry 4 of those without question. 4 of those in your rucksack and not even know it. They weigh nothing. And granted, you go to light stands and all that sort of stuff. But the point still stands is that lighting now is wild. And I suppose you could say the same for the 80-200s, right? Little lights, but yeah. Very kind of compact, mobile shooting wise, yeah. So speaking of Nanlite, Steve sent this over, which is the Nanlite Micro 30C and 60C. So very kind of familiar design to some of us. But these are 30 watts, 60 watts, right? So again, we can all see what Nanlite is targeting here, right? It's targeting, like the Lightmons is targeting this newer generation of content creators. And it is, you guys can't see it, shit. Classic. So yeah, so here, little baby thing like this, right? So what was I saying? Yeah, so like Lightmon's kind of making this new product for a new generation content creators, filmmakers, or streamers, that sort of stuff. This light is very kind of reminiscent of that same demographic and the way that's being designed. So here it shows the size, right? So it's small, but pretty easy. Boom, job done, right? Got the batteries on the back there. This is nice in a minute though, where I do like that, being able to change it from the front, like power wise. I do like that. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so you can see, very kind of compact light. We got the 61 there, the 60C there, which is, I can't see the size of these anywhere. I don't think these are full color. Like I said, I didn't spend a ton of time looking at this before we went live, although it does look like it there. Yeah, I suppose the C stands for color. Yeah. Price and availability. Okay, so the baby one costs $120, and the bigger one costs $160. I mean, like, yeah, I think you definitely, if you were looking at these, I would say definitely go for the bigger one. It's going to be a more flattering light for sure. Yeah. It does come with a sort of yoke. It does. Yeah, it does come with that yoke. Yeah. They don't have the bottom piece on here, but I presume they all do. Yeah. I presume that comes off because a lot of the times they kind of show it just propped up on the side. Yeah. But controllable via the app and all that sort of stuff. It's a pretty low price, really. You think about lighting gear. I mean, it's not very bright. I think if you were, I mean, it's clearly just targeted at people who are kind of doing these streams and videos on their desk, right? Like my wife does, kind of nails and that sort of stuff, and she uses some of the lights that I've kind of given her. But this would be perfect for that, like the round catch lights, small enough, easy to use, lightweight, bright enough when it's used in close. Like these both Godox Nanlite, and I'm sure other companies are doing this as well. Really targeting this kind of newer generation for sure. Yeah. Steve was also talking about the new Hasselblad. This is not really in my realm. Apparently, Steve's algorithm is far posher than mine, because apparently he was saying he was bombarded with people using this. This is the first I've seen of it, Steve. This is the 2 version of the X2D. So you guys may be kind of familiar with the look of this one, right, from the original Hasselblad medium format. Was it 100 megapixel? So the just the regular one, not the 2 that we're seeing here. Like, I don't know. I think if you're in the market for this, you're going to buy it anyway, really. I think Hasselblad has its community, like Leica, right? Have their community of just dyed-in-the-wool hardcore fans that kind of buy whatever they put out. And, and that's fine. But just kind of looking at the kind of differences between this and the original here. So to be fair, people talking about the autofocus, and autofocus has come a decent way in the last couple of years, so you kind of expect that. HDR functionality. So again, I suppose if you were shooting landscapes on this, that'd be kind of useful, you know, to get the Netflix look where we have 18 stops of dynamic range. That kind of a bit boring, but you know, it's there if you need it. 10 stops of image stabilization, which is wild, you know. Screen pops out. Now got a 5D joystick. 7.5% lighter. 100 megapixel, 15.3 stops. So like these specs kind of wild, right? I mean, it's just almost identical. Yeah. $7,000. So, you know, if you're in that market, I think if you already had the original and you were just desperate to spend some money, I could see you upgrading. For the most part, I think people, like, this is going to be the reason they upgrade, is purely for the autofocus thing. But for the rest of it, like the specs and that sort of stuff is like identical, you know. So, like I said, I think if you're in the market for this, then you're probably going to buy it anyway. But yeah. Another digital camera, like the Ricoh. I just kind of mention this is because this kind of style of shooting compact street photography is, you know, just kind of seeing a lot of people talking about it, where they want like a decent quality camera, but they don't want to be dragging around like a DSLR, or, oh well, the mirrorless is that much lighter. Yeah, your mirrorless camera is that much lighter, but your lenses, you know, are larger to compensate for the smaller body. Like, so you're still carrying around a big chunk of camera. So this one is, there are certainly some Ricoh fans out there. This, you know, this is a serious little camera to have in your pocket. What have we got? Like, it's $1,500 here. They say here this price represents a substantial increase from the previous one, which is $900. So like, it is a hefty jump up. Again, I think if you were like, this is definitely something that you would need to know that you wanted. But street shooters and stuff out there who, you know, didn't want to show off that you had a Leica, then it's supposedly very, very good. Yeah. Has anybody shot with any of the Ricohs? I actually have not. And the only reason I'm bringing it up here is because I know that a bunch of people kind of swear by them for these types of cameras. So I believe they're very, you know, quick, snappy. You know, you can just almost no startup time. You're able to grab images very, very quickly. But yeah, I've never really shot with them. Yeah. I'm not going to spend any time on this. Just talking about the firmware update. I kind of left this in here because I wanted to kind of. Do you guys install firmware updates on your camera? Is it something that you're kind of actively looking for the whole time? I presume you would need to check, right? And they're not going to send you an email. Maybe they do send you an email, like a firmware update, unless you come across a story like this. Like, how do you know? Like, how closely are you following it that you're just like, oh my god, I can't wait for the firmware update for this. Now, mirrorless cameras is a different beast, right? Because they can change a substantial amount with a firmware update in mirrorless cameras. Because people ask me about the lights. Oh, you know, your LED light. Have you upgraded to the latest firmware on my light? So it is. It's not something that I've kind of looked at or certainly follow or do. But you know, I think if you already had this, there's some couple of autofocus things in here that would definitely be worth digging out the USB or whatever it is to hook this up. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a bunch of improvements in here, which is kind of crazy that you can do that to cameras now, right? Yeah. Not me, although there was a time where I was eyeing the Sony like that. So Jamie's talking about the Ricoh. Can't remember the name of it. Yeah, I mean, it is like, I tell you, that the Fuji X100 that I had when I was in Hong Kong, you just get way more images than me personally than I would do with any other camera, right? Because you just have it on you. You can pretty much have it, ready to go the whole time. I think if I was somebody who traveled a lot more than I do now, I would be seriously tempted to get like a very decent quality pocket camera like that. That'd be very cool. Yeah. Trevor, Lola, I've never done a firmware update. I'm just hoping it works out of the box. I know, Trevor. Yeah, that's what I mean. Look, I'm not assuming your age, Trevor, but I got to agree with you. Like I buy the damn thing, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, then not. But I'm not somebody who is checking the firmware updates all the time. But some of these like autofocus things, if I had this camera, I would definitely be like, yeah, for sure, right? It's worth going through the little bit of hassle, because they seem to be pretty, pretty sizable. Bird mode finally arrives. One of the most noticeable omissions from the Z6 III launch was the lack of proper bird detection. Interestingly, the predecessor had it. Okay, detecting the bird subject detection. Okay, yeah, I wonder if the D850's got any latest updates. Maybe I'm missing out. Yeah. I haven't had a firmware update available for a few years when anything relevant. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Kind of interesting. Okay, so we're going to talk about this Gemini thing, right? This AI Gemini, and I haven't looked into this, guys. I really haven't. I've just, I've kind of a bunch of you have kind of sent me images that you've been playing around with. Friend of mine, Wayne, on Instagram sent me some bits. Tony sent me some bits on Facebook. Tony is a guy that follows the stream, but he's Australian, so it's like 6 o'clock in the morning for him. So sometimes he catches the end of it. But he sent me some images that he'd kind of been buzzing through this. If you don't know what this is, then it's kind of, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause I'm just kind of surmising on a couple of sentences that I've seen, is Google's new Gemini nano banana thing or whatever it is that is doing a lot of AI with images that you give it, right? You can get it to do the standard, AI Mid-Journey model of create me a dog on a surfboard in the Bahamas. Like, you can do that, right? But what people are kind of getting excited about this for is that you can give it your images, and then it'll kind of do a ton of work on those images that you're feeding it, right? So you're already starting off with an image that is kind of yours, and then you're kind of building on that. So let me just see if I can bring this up. Has anybody played with this? Anybody played with this Gemini nano banana thing, whatever it's called? So look, right? So you're giving it the content, and then it's doing it. Kind of wild, right? This is the other example, right? What would it look like with Salmon Wall? So you just keep building on it, right? So, and it's this nano banana thing here. So let me just see. So let's have like a couple of bits that people have sent me here. Let's see what we got. Okay, so Tony, like I said, Australian photographer, usually in the streams, always kind of to take part in the show shooting, that sort of stuff. He shoots a whole range of stuff, whether it be cosplay in the studio, light painting outside, and that sort of stuff. He's just regular guy like you and I, right? And he's and he was like, okay, he put this image in and was like, give me a white reflective floor. So kind of instantly, it cleans up the floor, gives you this very clean image off the rip, right? You're like, okay. Again, this is another one of his images, and he was like, white reflective floor, and then surround the model in mirrors, right? And boom. So this is what I mean. It's taking your image and kind of extrapolating it on what you want, but pretty damn accurately. So it's which is what I find interesting is its ability to kind of render faces in 3 dimension and then kind of adjust that and like turn the face and shape the face and keep the lighting the same. And we kind of saw that a minute ago, like here, right, with the girl here, right? Like the image of that girl is a completely different angle, completely different expression, shot down low, like it's completely different. Now the dog, you could go, well, I mean, like a brown dog, right? I'm not going to know if it's the same dog or not. But with people's faces and that sort of stuff, like completely changing and remodeling the face. Now, how accurate that would look with somebody that we knew, like maybe it's getting away with it because we don't know what she looks like, but still, right? So I was like, it's okay. Then he sent me another one here. So this is another picture he took of a young lady, and he puts it into the Gemini thing, and he says, "Can you show me this image, but the girl with the sword drawn?" Right? So seemingly simple stuff. Now, that is not a different image that he's taken, right? That's Gemini taking this image and drawing the sword. But you can see the expression, changed the way that the face is looking. Like it's not just drawn the sword and kept everything else the same. Like she's now in a more dynamic stance, holding the sword, and change the pose. Like the pose matches the fact that she's holding the sword. It's not just like, oh, I'm laughing, but with the sword drawn. It's kind of gone, no, if she's got the sword drawn, like the whole story of this image changes. So there's actually a lot going on with this. And I could see, a lot where you could get rid of stuff in images very, very easily, right? Yeah. Trevor says, that's where it loses me. Clean up, make the background adjustment is fine. Creating something new is not for me. What do you mean by that, Trevor? As in, like ethically, it's not for you, or you're like, it's not like why it's not for me. As in, I took this image, and I really wanted a picture of her with a sword drawn. So for you, like this is not for you because it's like this is no longer my image. Like basically, I don't feel comfortable sharing that image and saying that I took it. Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Is that kind of what you mean, or like ethically, you're just like, I wouldn't want to give Gemini this data to kind of mess around with. I'm just kind of curious as to what you mean by that. Jim says, is there any artifacts, for example, how Midjourney can render text properly, or at least last time I looked at it? Do you kind of mean if we were to zoom in on this, like would the quality maintain the same? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, most people who do this in Midjourney generate something in Midjourney and then they will kind of up-res it using upscaler software, which is very, very good, if that's what you mean. Let me just read that again. Is there any artifacts about how Midjourney can't render text properly? Or you just mean it so like straight? So if you had like a straight, like the T, the letter T, you're saying that Midjourney wouldn't have a straight T. It would kind of be kind of jagged. Is that what you're saying? I'm not familiar with the artifacting that you're talking about. Yeah. Trevor says, I use Midjourney for inspo and then try to use it to shoot. Okay. Yeah, you didn't take it. Yeah, it's interesting, Trevor, right? It is. I mean, I 100% agree with you. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, absolutely. But it's kind of, but it's definitely blurring that line, because it's like, well, we can only get this image because of the image that I gave it. It's very, oh man, what a mess! Like it's just like the legislation that is not prepared for this. Not even close, right? Text can come out jumbled from a distance. It looks like text. Interesting. Okay. When it's kind of in the shot, Jamie, it doesn't. That's weird. Surely text would be the easiest thing for it to do. That's bizarre. But it's trying to generate an image of text rather than overlaying text on an image. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So what else do we get? So Wayne sent me on Instagram. He sent me these. So he's got like some figurines at home. He just grabbed a screenshot. He said, make a cartoon scene from these 3 photos. So he's got like this mini Boba Fett thing, this mini dragon thing, and I don't know whatever that is. He took some shots on his phone, and then he's going, boom, make a cartoon scene from these 3 photos, and then instantly get that back. So, oh my god, man! On his phone, like, let's not forget, he's not running a NASA, sponsored by Nvidia here. He's doing it on his phone instantly, probably whilst he's on the loo. It is just crazy, right? It's just crazy. So it's interesting that it's like an illustration. It has an idea of what you want. I mean, it clearly doesn't care about copyright. It's, I think that's Dragon Ball Z with the golden balls down here, but could be wrong. But yeah, so it's just the fact that it's instant, and it can do that. Yeah. So like Trevor was saying, Trevor says that he uses Midjourney for inspiration, and then try to use it on and then try to use it to shoot. Trevor, if you don't mind me asking, can you kind of elaborate on your process there? I'm just kind of curious. So, if you wouldn't mind just kind of talking me through a shoot. Say, what, maybe you're in a studio and you're in Midjourney. Okay, girl, blue background, wearing white dress, prompt dynamic lighting, neon lighting, colored lighting. What do you, when you say inspo, like how are you using that? Are you kind of getting lighting ideas from it, or are you getting kind of like composition or angles and that sort of stuff? I'm just kind of curious as to what you can get back from Midjourney in that regard. And look, we'll kind of talk about my water shoot in a minute, and I'll kind of go through my process and the ideas that I got from it. So, like, everybody starts off with an idea somewhere. Who's to say which version is better? I'm just kind of curious. Yeah. Is there a way I can show it? I'll send you 2 photos. The easiest way, because it won't let me do it in here, the easiest way, Trevor, is if you just pop it in the comments of this on Facebook. That's I know it's a pain in the arse, but that's going to be the easiest, because I can't really, it won't let you share links in chat in the YouTube stream. So yeah, if you can pop it in the comments here, and I will have a look. Or, we'll just go onto my page and pop it in the comments of the actual live stream section. Yeah. Okay. Where else were we here? That's not it. Where are we going? Just give me 2 seconds. Let me close something else down here. That's not it. Boom, there we go. So yeah, what else? Was there any other examples I got sent? So he sent me this, right? And this is, so he was obviously taking the mick, but he Googled my name on the internet, grabbed some images, show this man is an amazing fashion photographer, so just grabbed some images from the internet, right? Just fed it like 5 images of me, one of which holding a dog, and he just said, like, spit it out as show this as an amazing fashion photographer, and then this is what he got in return. Right? Can I make this? Come on. It's not gonna let me make it bigger. You just have to trust me. You'd have to trust me. Like skinny jeans on a rooftop. Look at this incredible modifier back there, right? Check out those lenses. Oh man. Shooting a Canon lens, like outrageous. But you guys get the idea, right? Yeah, you're not that tall. I know, Jamie, that's a bit rude. That's literally what Wayne said. He's just like, I mean, obviously it's made you taller. Maybe I would look tall like that. As you can see, it's shot down low, 28mm lens. You know, come on. You just don't know, Jamie. If I stand up straight. Oh man, what a mess we're in, right? What a mess we're in. Okay, so let's have a look then. Let's have a look. So let's see. So we got what? Unsplash. Let's grab a what? Portrait. I did this earlier on. Let's have a look. Oof, this is nasty. Let's grab that. Those of you who don't know, Unsplash is this kind of free. These kind photographers have uploaded these images to Unsplash, and they are completely royalty free, and you can use whatever you find here for any project you want, right? So Trevor's talking about experience and that sort of inspiration and that sort of stuff. So sometimes it can be, you know, a nice way to get some. So let's have a look then. So let's see. Let's get rid of this banana thing here. I'm trying to know banana. Okay, let's have a look. So upload image. Okay, so this is the image we just downloaded. So let's pop that in there. So what we're gonna go? What? Remove colored lighting. Yeah. Let's see what it does. It's probably just make it a black and white image. Imagine. Convert it to black and white. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. So that's where we were. The massive image. Okay. Huh. I'm just kind of looking at what it's done to the... Interesting. Okay. Clever. All right. So, like, maybe you took this shot and he's like, oh, I love this image, but she wasn't smiling. It's crazy how fast all this is now, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Dog under the desk. If you guys can hear me, let me just see if I can fix this. The dog, if you guys can hear me, the dog under the desk pulled out the cable. Yeah, my back. Pulled out the the laptop cable. Yeah. Yeah, just let me know if if you can hear me. Okay. I mean, and then, you know, obviously you can do whatever you want, right? You can do I am not good at this. I mean, can we do add colorful neon lighting? Put in the comments to the live stream. Okay, Trevor, I'll have a look. Yeah, have a look. No way did it go back. That's hilarious. No way. Yeah, but essentially I come up with a prompt like and try to get. Okay, let's have a look at what you're doing there. Then let's have a look at what Trevor's doing in here. But essentially, come up with a prompt like and try to get close. But the prompt crafting is important. Yeah, for sure. I mean, how long do you spend doing that? Because it's not. I mean, it's not just like you just get it off the rip, right? You have to mess around a little bit. Oh, Jamie, nice. Where are these comments then? Is it in the just a regular? Oh, in here. Yeah, you're good. I think. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Inspo from Midjourney. Okay. So it's inspo from Midjourney. So Trevor's saying. So you just and. Like, how long does it take you to get here, Trevor? Like, if you just, 3 minutes, boom, I got an idea in my head. I go, girl smoking, green top light, boom, job done. And off we go. And then, nice. So I'm laughing at the cigarettes. Okay. All right. So are you kind of getting inspiration for the lighting and that sort of thing when you're doing that? I wonder if that's exactly the same. You know? It's hilarious. I think it just went back. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Where's that unsplash again? Let's see. Unsplash. Just portrait. Oh, it's a paid one. Let's have a look. That's a paid one. But this one. Let's see if we can add color lighting to that. I'm just kind of curious. Upload image. We got. I am terrible at this, like coming up with ideas for this AI stuff. Other people are just like, but turn it into a knight holding a sword, riding a dragon. I was just like, okay. Add colored lighting, neon colors to subject. I rated something like 10,000 images to get my style, and then I tweak my prompts. What the fuck? You just got to start a new one. Okay. It was getting confused for sure, right? There are 10,000 images to get my style. I have no idea what that means. Yeah, and then tweak prompts, probably about 20 minutes to come up with something, and then an hour finding something I like. Okay. So not too long then. Yeah. So rated something like 10,000 images. So is that in Midjourney? So you, okay. I'm not aware of that, Trevor. So what you're saying is there like is there a place in Midjourney where you can go and it gives you the option to go, look, here's a bunch of images, rate these in terms of your favorite, what, out of 5 stars or something like that, and then we will build your kind of style. Is that right? Your personal style based on your preferences? 10,000 images is a lot, Trevor. That's nuts. Okay, that's interesting, yeah. It's a bit of posing and effect. Pose are hard. Yeah, true, yeah. Posing and stuff. Midjourney tends to paint lighting however it wants. Yeah, maybe use one of your images as a reference. Yeah, the actual prompt won't fit in chat. Lol. Okay. You rate images, choose between 2, and then the one that you like best and start to personalize your profile. Okay. Damn. Interesting. Good idea. Yeah, good idea. What would I say, Jamie, if I was to use one of my images? What would I say? Because it's already colourful anyway. Like, what could I even say about, like, what can you just say? Or, say this girl is standing on like a field in natural light. Like, what can you? I have no idea what you can get away with this. Will it let me use that? Okay, well. I'm terrible at this. Get me in the studio where I can push and pull some lights around. Fuck. So I took the tattoo. Okay, it doesn't look like her. But it did take the tattoo. Little bracelet there. Same top. But when Wayne sent me the images of me, right? He gave it like 6 images as reference points. Guys, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, how easy is it to start a Instagram profile or whatever? That's kind of wild, right? That's kind of wild. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but it's pretty easy to set up a fake account now and just yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah. What else can we do? I'm not going to spend too much time on this, I promise. I'm just kind of curious as to like how it works with regards to facial features and that sort of thing. Yeah. We're buying a coffee. In what? In a in the morning? I mean, what other stuff could you get it? Morning. What's he going to give you? Giving it images to build upon is kind of wild. Okay, so I think you'd need to give it. I mean, obviously it's just a blonde white girl, a generic blonde white girl. It's interesting that it totally changed the outfit and everything like that. Yeah. But you can see. I mean, talk about inspiration, though, Trevor. Right? I mean, isn't this easier? Couldn't you find something like on Pinterest or Unsplash or whatever, and go, I kind of want an image like that. Are you allowed to make like you're smoking a cigarette, girl? Let's have a look. Can we even do that? Can we grab that image that you used? And can we go, can you give me alternative posing and lighting examples? Like, is that something you can do? I need to sort these windows out. I apologize. Let's refresh this. Nano banana thing. I've got to upload an image. Can you give me what? Can you give me alternative poses? I was suggesting taking the Unsplash image and then using yours as a cut of reference. Oh, I don't know whether you can do that, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even know how you would do that, Jamie. I'm sorry. Yeah. AI incest. We did it, guys. We took a Midjourney image and then made Gemini make another image out of it. Yeah. So it's interesting. So did they? Okay, so yeah, so you got, okay, so you still kept the cigarette in one of them. It's interesting that they gave it to you in one file. Yeah. Kept the color. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that would, I mean, it's not bad, right? Yeah. I mean, considering it like in 5 words, 6 words or something. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know what you would use this for. I could see it like if you did a wedding, right? You did a wedding and I've certainly seen this before, or you're doing like an event or something like that, and there's like a trash can, rubbish bin thing in the background, and you just go boom, you remove that, or I presume you could just use it for basic stuff like that, and it'd be very, very fast. To Jamie's point about the quality, like what is the artifacting on that? Don't know. How would you reference that image, Jamie? What you said. So, I wonder if you can do that. So let's see. Okay, we had 2 images there. Can you go? Okay, first image. So, can you apply colors from the second image to the first image? Will it work? Will it know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, color grading, right? Okay, so no. So you can't do that. Okay, how about one more. I'm running it up. Let me. Let's try this then, right? So between those 2 images, I wonder if you can apply the color grade. Yeah. So if you go, can you apply the color grade from the first image to the second image? Just imagine though, this is as bad as AI is going to be. Imagine it in 10 years. I can't really. I mean, yeah. So I kind of don't know where it is now, but it wasn't too many years ago where. Okay, so I didn't really understand. Yeah, I didn't really get it. It just took the background. Okay. I'm sure you could get there. I'm interested about the color grade thing though. In theory, you could do it. Yeah, so it was years ago now, but like when Midjourney first came out, like the OG Midjourney, like super early on, we were kind of messing around with it on stream, years ago, right? And it was just like, oh my god, it was crazy. But it certainly had a lot of style, right? It was a Midjourney image, and the things that you created, like I was making Dark Souls characters or something on stream and that sort of stuff. And like Midjourney had its style then, and then fast forward 6 months, and kind of that style was pretty much stripped away, and it was left with the individual creators' kind of oppressive style on top, as it were. Everybody was taking the mick out of, oh my god, it can't do fingers. Oh lol, yeah, AI is crap, and like it was fixed by the end of the week. It's like it is crazy how quickly it's coming. Yeah. I am interested about the color grading thing though. I'm sure there's some mileage there about. It's just got to get the right terminology to get the color grade. What if we would do something super obvious? Right, so the first image being that, and then it should be super easy, right? You just got to turn this second image green, right? Can you apply the color grade from the first image to the second image? Boom. I mean, surely it can't get this wrong. Should just be able to turn it green. Yeah. So it doesn't. Okay. It really doesn't know what to do with that. I mean, it took it nearly 12 seconds to work out that. So we're nearly there. Yeah. Looks like I'm still using Evoto AI color match for a bit longer. I think you're safe for a bit. Yeah, I think you're safe for a bit. Can you buy the color grade from the first image to the second image? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm sure it'll be some prompt, and it'll be easy enough to do. But yeah. So thank you to those people who kind of sent me the images as examples to mess around with. Look, give it a look, right? Give it a look. Hey, Stoney, how you doing, mate? Just arrived in Bangkok. Nice, man. Congrats. Seriously, how long have you been there? Have you just like literally just stepped off the plane and was like, guys, I just got to get on that Hicks stream. Yeah. But yeah, congrats, man. How long are you there for? 6 months again? Long time. Yeah, give it a go. So look, I just want to take a moment to just be serious for a second, okay? And I just want to talk about something that happens quite a bit with regards to somebody like myself. I've been shooting a long time, I kind of see this a lot. And what I'm referring to is, the models that we work with typically tend to be fairly young, right? So young people making decisions early in their lives when it comes to modeling for us as photographers, right? And look, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and over the years there will certainly be many models who've reached out to me and was like, Jake, I shot with you 6 years ago, 8 years ago, or whatever. Would you mind either removing my images from your website or removing my name or whatever it is, right? I'm trying to get a job as a nurse, primary school teacher, solicitor, right? And I'm really just trying to limit any kind of links back to my previous career as a model, right? Now, this is something that happens a lot, right? Where young people are going to do things like modeling for a few years, and then it's going to kind of not something that they can do long term or want to do long term, and then go and get newer jobs. And like I said, this has happened several times over the years when models have reached out and they've asked me to, remove their names from, credits and that sort of stuff. I will say I've actually never had a model ask to remove my images that I've taken. It's always just been kind of like the name, right? Which is fine. Now, the argument here is that some photographers will go, well, you signed a model release. Sorry. No. Model release, I can do what I want with the image. You sign the model release. And it's kind of a dick move, if I'm being honest. Like, it really is. And I think that, we kind of need to be just a little bit more humane, right? We're dealing with young people. Like, I'm getting older every year, but the models that I work with are staying the same age, right? And I don't know about you guys, but like, I did some daft stuff when I was younger. I'm glad it's not on the internet forever, right? And I'm not saying that girls regret modeling, but some girls who maybe do art nude or something like that and that sort of stuff, and they're trying to get a job as a primary school teacher 10 years from now, like, don't be a dick, right? Just remove the image. So the reason I bring this up is because model reached out to me last week for that reason. Jake, moving on in life, would you mind removing my name from the images? She'd obviously Googled her model name, boom, and came across the image on the website. Fine, yeah, absolutely fine. Did it, all good. So I was kind of asking her about this, and I was kind of curious and seeing what her response was. So I'll just kind of go over what she came back with here. For obvious reasons, she's asked to keep her name out of it, which is fair enough, yeah. So it's just when I started out, I just assumed that model releases were always mandatory and signed them without thinking. There's one photographer in air quotes, in particular, who to this day is still selling pics of art nude photo shoot to porn mags on Bent Box. I've never even heard of that. I shot with him once 16 years ago, who asked him countless times over the years to stop. So this is the issue, right? Is, a young person will sign a model release form, and then the photographer, sadly, legally has carte blanche to be a dick about it, which is like, come on, mate, you're just being a prick. The story is one of many, to be honest, she goes on, but probably the worst in terms of how long it's gone on for. Once I did a 2-hour art nude shoot and ended up in a 6-page spread in a porn mag. After a couple of bad experiences, I started to feel suspicious of most photo shoots, especially when they sprang a model release form on you at the end with no previous mention. So yeah, this is this is a tactic that I've heard of a lot, right? And models turning up to a shoot and you do the shoot and they haven't been paid yet, right? They're going to invoice the photographer or whatever, or they're going to get cash, whatever. But typically, for the most part, models don't get paid before the shoot, right? They get paid after the shoot. So what the photographer does is they'll spring the model release at the end of the shoot, right? So the model's done all the work. And it's at that point where you're basically holding their pay ransom unless they kind of sign this model release, which again, like, super slimy, right? As a, if you're doing that, you're a dick. Yeah. So art nude is definitely a thing. She carries on, but it seems like the majority are throwing the term around. The intention isn't to create art. So yeah, and you guys have heard me mention this on the stream before about art nude. It really is just a bunch of losers on the internet who are getting girls to take their clothes off, turning the image black and white, and calling it art nude. Right? Like, we all know, what's going on there. Some definitely prey on newbies, she goes on to say, and their naivety, but there's been a great deal of predators on such and such, and they seem to pop up on. So I've just edited out the names of the websites here. Really, all websites are going to be prone to this unless you're careful, right? So it's not just, there's not like one website that you can go to and you're totally safe or anything like that. So like, they're all the websites that models and photographers use are prone to this. So the model goes on to say, the advice I would give to newer models now is to not do anything you don't want people to see. The money soon goes, but the pictures can circulate on the internet for many years to come, if not forever. Content that should say locked away generally gets leaked. So, kind of her looking back over her modeling career and kind of being, maybe questioning, was the 200 quid for that art nude session kind of worth those images of her being naked on the internet for eternity, right? So, she's going, look, I get it, everybody wants to get paid, but you can't take those images back, once they're out on the internet. That's it, right? And as much as you think that they're going to stay locked away, as she says here, generally it gets leaked eventually, right? So her advice was join. So this is to models. So join model safety groups and keep up to date with who to avoid. If you see any red flags or are unsafe about a photographer in pre-communication, do extra checks by messaging people they've recently worked with or asking in model safety groups. So yeah, like these models safety groups, I'm like, as a photographer, I'm not really aware of them, but I think messaging any model who's been doing it for any number of time, they will be able to point you to these groups. And typically these are private groups that models will share their kind of private experiences with certain photographers, right? And you can go as it's a fucking witch hunt and all that sort of stuff. And look, these are private groups, so sure, but these, they're not blasting your name out far and wide. But if you're not doing anything untoward, I don't think you've got anything to worry about, right? But it is good advice. Join model safety groups. And look, she's also saying here, if you think that it's a bit suspicious or something's not right, then you should be able to find other models who've worked with that photographer as well, right? And this is really good advice. So you go on their portfolio or on Instagram or wherever, or their account on whatever website you're using to set up the job, and look at the images and look at the other models that they've worked with and reach out to those models. That's really good advice. And there is very few models who will not respond to you and go, yeah, like this guy's absolutely fine, I didn't have any trouble, or yeah, it was a little bit sus, I probably wouldn't work with him again. And right, that's probably all you need to know. She goes on to say, don't sign a model release without reading it. If they spring it on you at the end of the shoot with no previous mention, as this is usually done to put you on the spot. So yeah, so like I mentioned before, kind of, I've heard of people doing this, that you haven't been paid yet, and they putting you on the spot with this model release. And if they do that to you, is obviously a red flag to begin with. So make sure you're reading that model release and just make sure that the images, it's not like carte blanche for forever, like globally, print and digital, it's just it in perpetuity, like this sort of thing to be wary of. Just go, it's for this job and for what it's for. Really, if they're doing a shoot, unless they've said otherwise, it should just be for portfolio stuff, right? So the model release, not that they need a model release for portfolios, but really it should just be just using it for portfolio work, right? If you are going to go and sell these images later on, I need to be notified. Yeah. You must be aware of the intention of publishing, be okay with it, and write any stipulations on the agreement of signing. So she's saying that on that model release, if you have any stipulations, then you need to make sure that you're kind of adding them there and then at the time, right? Which I think is really good advice. So yeah, look, granted, there's not many models in here. There's mostly photographers in here, or watching this later on YouTube. But you really got to be, do better, right? If you are going to have a model release for a photo shoot, then it's just respect them long term as well, right? In 10 years' time, when they want to get a different job, just like, oh, you signed them on the release, like, don't be a dick, right? Take the image down or remove the name. 9 times out of 10, if you've taken an amazing image, they're not going to want you to remove it anyway. Nobody's ever asked me to take down an image. They've asked me to change the name, but yeah. So like, model releases are great, but really, I've certainly had people who have asked names to be changed and that sort of stuff in the future with model releases, and you just get it done. I wrote a couple of things over the years ago. This was back in 2016, where people were using my images to start up accounts and then try and coax models into coming to a photo shoot using my images. This one here on Model Mayhem Hicks Studio, they set up an account not only using my name and my images, and was kind of setting up meetings with girls years ago as well. Like, I mean, that's 10 years ago. You can't stop it. And we just saw the Gemini thing, right? So you can take any image on the internet, and I just said, take this image of girl and put her in a field. It's pretty easy to make a fake account these days. This article in here just goes over things to be mindful of. Check that. This article as well, I did the following year. It was how to contact and book a photo shoot with a model. Look, I get it. If you're new to photography and you're like, yeah, I'd love to work with models more. I've spent some time working with my friends and family shooting, but I'd like to work with actual models now. What's the process and that sort of thing? Totally fine, absolutely, yeah. Like where do you start? What do you do? What do you ask? So years ago, I actually asked 40 models who were currently working, and I gave them all questionnaires as to what they want to hear from photographers, what platform they prefer to be contacted on, what information they would prefer to hear in the first message, and that sort of thing. So look, if you're interested in all the kind of the background work to that, right, and on working models, then by all means check out that article. Also in this article, I also go on to give you an example letter, right, to send to the model, right, which is basically, this is the times I'm looking for. Yeah, this is where I'm going to be shooting. If you can make it there, what's it going to cost you to get there and travel wise and that sort of thing. Here's an example of the local train station. Boom. What I'm going to be shooting. Here's some examples of some lighting ideas. So I would send them like 3, 4, 5 images of the thing that I'm after. I'm looking to do 5 setups. Styling. Here's what I would love you to bring. Final images. This is if you're doing a test shoot, then cool. You need to make sure they get the images. How many images are they expecting to get? How long is it going to take you to get those images to you? So, like if it's a test shoot, like 15 images, and they'll get them to you within 6 weeks, right? As an example. So, that just gives you like a very basic, loose outline of what to send. There's actually an interesting article to put together, because as a photographer, you think and then you message 40 models, and what their idea of what they would prefer to hear is sometimes slightly different to what we think they want to hear, right? And if you're working with young models or newer models, check out this article as well. It's just some tips to kind of be mindful of for newer models and things to avoid, right? Hairbands, tight clothing, and that sort of stuff, right? So just make good tips to live by for both parties, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, we'll delete it and try and make everyone's life harder. Yeah, exactly, Trevor. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's usually been years later as well. Like you've moved on, your work's got better. If you're still hanging on to images from 10 years ago, it's like, are you really improving? Anyway, look, appreciate a little bit of a heavier sidebar there, but this is sadly this kind of story is not unique. I hear these stories all the time, and it does kind of piss me off when photographers are just being idiots about it, really, and just being kind of disrespectful, like they didn't do anything they regretted when they were younger, for Christ's sake, So yeah, we need to do better, for sure. Okay, right. So that's all that heavy stuff out of the way. Let's have a look here. We have a chat about the photo shoot I did the other day in a second. If anybody's got any questions on any of that, or stories about anything, then by all means let me know. Happy to take a look, or if you've got any questions about it, then by all means let me know. Okay, so okay, so wanted to have a little bit of a chat about the shoot I did on Friday, I think it was, the water shoot. I had a couple of questions over the weekend about, sort of things that I was doing, and it was an interesting shoot. Those of you kind of missed my stories on Instagram on Friday. Basically, it was a kind of editorial style shoot using this big water tray thing. We went to High Wycombe Studio 88, to use their like 3 meter by 3 meter water tray there. And working with water, it's not something I've done scaled up like this. So I've done still life in the past for some product photography years ago, where I was using water and then kind of using the reflections in the water and that sort of stuff. So it's kind of interesting to kind of scale it up now and kind of do this with people, right? So I don't have any final images or anything like that. Literally just got a couple of Instax shots that I took on the day, but I kind of want to have a chat about my ideas and how we got there and set up and that sort of thing as well. So if you've got any questions about this, then as I'm going through this, then by all means let me know, right? Okay, so as with any shoot, I do tend to use something like Pinterest. Yeah, just go on there and just type in water fashion shoot, something like that, right? And get some ideas back, see if anything jumps out. And look, there are plenty of things, plenty of other ways to do this. You could, Trevor says he jumps in Midjourney and he's playing around with ideas and stuff in there. Regardless of how you get there, just try and get some ideas going in terms of like your brain, right? What's going to be possible, size of the scale, what things kind of work well, what things don't work well, what are some of the pain points that you can see, what are some of the issues that you think you can see, what is some of the kit that you think you're going to need based on what you're looking at, right? So I did kind of like this idea here. This was like one of the images that kind of stood out to me. Here was this guy here, mainly the chair in the water thing, right? Like the shape of having somebody filling the frame a little bit more. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of full body shots, so having somebody sat in a chair I thought was something that kind of immediately jumped out to me. So it's kind of what I started with. Sat on a chair in the water. The other issue I've got here is how varied the water looks in some of these, right? So we've got like what looks like, you probably can't see it down there, but very choppy water, like here for example, like really choppy, like seawater here that's probably may even be faked, and then you've got kind of more glassy water here, right, where it's less. So it's kind of like, how am I going to kind of get these effects? Because if we just have it straight like a mirror, it just kind of looks like those crappy Mylar shots you see, right, where they just like lay a roll of Mylar on the floor and like, oh, it's water. Nobody believes it's water. Right? So I definitely wanted to have a lot of this kind of agitation in the water so that it was very, very obviously water. And then colors on the background. So that's going to be the other major thing, is how am I going to light the subject, and then how am I going to light the background, and how am I going to get this kind of effect going on here, right? So one thing a lot of people don't realize with this, and you can do this yourself with still life products and everything like that, but whatever color the water is going to be the same color as the background behind it, right? Because of the angle that you're looking at, right? You're looking at the reflection in the water of that background. So like, here we got the blue and that sort of stuff, and then here we got the like the white. The white looks really cool. Red, right? So whatever you're coloring the background is what you're going to see in the water. So it's not going to be like you're not coloring the water in any way. It's the way you light the background that's going to affect it. Okay. I will caveat that by saying this really only works if you have like black water, and we got black water by having this black lined, so black plastic lining the pool that we were in, and that gives you the black water, and then it's very easy to get that reflection. Okay. What do you guys use? Do you guys use different different things for inspirations? Anybody use Pinterest, or what are you doing? I know Trevor mentioned that he was using Midjourney. You guys getting inspiration from just Instagram? You just grabbing screen grabs from Instagram? I'm trying to think of any other kind of places to get inspo from that's relatively easy. Like magazines, it used to be, but that's not a thing anymore. Although I did just get sent a mood board from a client, which was like kind of tear outs from magazines, like tear sheets from magazines. I was like, wow, I haven't seen that in years, man. It was kind of cool. So clients will still use magazines, but yeah. What are you guys using for inspiration? Pinterest is just pretty easy, right? Yeah. Hey Sin, how you doing, mate? You got distracted. No, you've lost your card, mate. You've lost your card. I'll tell you why. It's because the stream is only somehow going ahead, even with you trying to get us banned. I'm trying to find the example here. This is you. This is you. This is your image, Sin, right? I got a whatever it is, a black mark from YouTube, thanks to you bugger. Yeah, I get inspiration from movies. Okay, since you get inspiration from movies, how do you transfer that in any way? Like, how are you transferring that? You say you get inspiration from movies. Are you just keeping that in your head, and you're like, okay, cool, and I'm just going to turn up on the day based on this image that I have in my head, because, to be fair, looking at your images, like the coloring and that sort of stuff that you have in your images is definitely cohesive. Like it's clear that you're going into a shoot with some pre-planning. You're not just getting there and just throwing the props that you found in the room. So I'm just kind of curious as to how you get those movie ideas, put together put together to kind of get you set on the day, as it were. Lol, the net was covered. It was covered, but they were covered by tiny hearts that looked like nipples. No, you're good, man. You're good. I should have known better. I was kind of skeptical on the day, but yeah, I should have not showed it all, like re-censored it. Yeah. Okay. So got the inspo there, and then what I'm doing is, so like Sin saying it gets ideas from movies or whatever. Cool. I'll take that and then kind of try and put together some lighting designs, right? So try and put together some lighting design. I use satellite 3D software, kind of bring it in and playing around with some ideas in terms of getting some of these, like the space. How many? This is also useful for kit, right? It's really useful for kit. It's like, okay, I want to do A, B, C, and D setup. What sort of kit do I need? Is it feasible? How many cars of kit am I going to be bringing with me? Do I even have the necessary modifiers? Do I have 3 optical snoots? So working that out, kit is super useful, and then space, right? So you can have this idea, and then you go, okay, I want this, moon coming in, on the background here. Practically, is that possible? So why would it not be possible? Well, it's not possible because this is going to be throwing a circle, right? And I'm conscious of the fact that as soon as that circle becomes at an oblique angle, it's going to start distorting the circle too much, right? So it's going to start looking like an egg or an oval, right? It's going to start to be ellipsed rather than circle-like. So here is a good example of this needs to be head on. I need to have some sort of boom arm here to make sure that the light stand isn't getting in the way. I need to have it just high enough so I can scoot it over the top of the model's head, so that it's not off to one side or too high or too low, so that the background image or the background circle isn't too distorted, right? So this kind of software is useful for that. It gives you a way to make sure that your lighting theory actually plays out in reality, right? And you can type. So I've just got a mirror here, and I just typed in. It was like, I know the pool was like 3 meters by 3 meters. I've got this background behind that's 3 meters by 3 meters, so I got plenty of space there. So you can really dial in what you need for that shot, right? For the shoot. Let's see here. So the first image we were looking at, boom. So there you go, right? So you can kind of see. So it's pretty much, keeping that circle there, but that is just scooting in over the top of her head there to try and get that circle back there. Yeah. So Sin says, no, I'll do a mood board and then style it and use color wheel to come up with a theme. Okay, cool. Okay, interesting. Okay, so you get inspired by a movie, something like that, and then you go, okay, I'll take that to a mood board, and then you style it using the color wheel, like based on color theory and that sort of thing, and then you'd come up with a kind of a theme for the shoot with that. Okay, so you're kind of doing the practical mood board stuff before you get there. Now, there's a bunch of people who don't do that, and I do think there's huge value in ensuring that you are kind of playing around with ideas before you even pick up the camera. I know a lot of people are just, I just want to get in the studio and just mess around with lights and that sort of stuff, and that's cool. And if you're just playing around with 1 or 2 lights, that's cool. Once you start to get a little bit more involved with shoots, then you'll soon realize that there's logistics involved. Do I have the kit? Do I have the space for the kit? How am I getting that kit there? Am I going to need a boom arm? Am I not going to need a boom arm? These sorts of practicalities with setups like that playing around with this can make it very, very useful prior to actually turning the lights on, right? So let's have a look. So I'm just going to make sure I'm muting this. Mainly because you don't want to hear me swearing in the background. So this was Studio 88, so all the kit here, and then you can see the pool here, right? So 3 meter by 3 meter pool, massive background. So we got plenty of space to work with, and this was at the start of the day. Just unpacked everything from the car, and then here, this is the thing I was telling Jamie about. This little baby 120. Nan light here, and then this is the little baby spot that it comes with, not 19 degree spot, which is awesome. That it was this unit that actually projected the moon white circle on the background behind her. So certainly bright enough. Very, very clean edge to edge light as well on that spotlight. Yeah. And this is really the alternatives, like I was saying, like the bigger brother here, which is the 500 watt nan light again, and then this thing is a monster. This projection unit is colossal. It weighs a ton. So don't get me wrong, you get 500 watts, you get a lot of light. It's a beautiful modifier. Truly, probably, I would say it is the best kind of edge-to-edge spotlight I've used in terms of no vignetting at all, really, at the edges. So super clean, crisp edges, but it is a pain in the ass to use, man. It is a monster, right? That case itself, I don't know how much. I mean, it's heavy, very heavy. That whole unit is metal, massive piece of glass. In the front there, I mean, it's got more glass at the back as well, to magnify the light. So, and this here is really just showing the scale of both of them, right? So that's the baby one, the 120C there, right, with the spotlight, that is, again, 19 degree spotlight, and then that's the bigger brother there, right? So you can see the scale difference, huge, absolutely massive, and this, I really wouldn't want to be putting this up very high on a regular light stand. This, you really got to be using a light stand. It's extremely heavy. And with both of these units, you can see they're actually being mounted from the modifier itself, just for balance purposes, right? So this is so heavy, you couldn't possibly mount the light on a light stand and then put this on the front. There's just no way. It has to be mounted on the light stand. So much glass in the front here. The other big issue I had on the day was actually dealing with making the water move, right? So I had like a leaf blower kind of jimmy rigged up to that clamp there. So I got a little floor stand here with a knuckle, and then super clamped the handle there, and then there's like the leaf blower is kind of locked on, as it were, just trying to create some movement in the water. But it was difficult, right? It is kind of difficult, because even with that going, and like once it's been moving around the pool for a little bit, it's it starts to bounce around and come back. So you're getting a little bit, but really it wasn't as much as I was hoping for. So I had to get my wife in there later on with this wooden beam and just kind of sloshing it up and down to try and get more kind of motion with it. Just because the fan was either blowing the water out of the pool, like when you had it powerful enough to get any movement going, but then that wasn't useful, obviously, and it was just really obvious that this very focused point of waves coming from one corner was kind of obvious in the shot. So not the greatest solution there in the end. Yeah, I don't think there's any real way around it other than like trying to get somebody to actually agitate the water, because I was actually looking online at things to kind of flap the water, because you can get aquarium pumps that agitate the water. That's literally what their job is to move water around the tank, right? And you can get kind of big ones and that sort of stuff for like £100, and then you can put them under the water and they move the water around. You can plug them in. Hey Lizzie, no worries. But so like that was one solution, was using these kind of aquarium pumps, but didn't really work. The other kind of useful solution that did work really well was kids' bath toys, right? So you can get these ducks that flap and that sort of stuff, right? Or like there's a shark tail that that flaps and that sort of thing, and those worked well. It's just they were only wind up, right? I really wanted a battery powered one that I could just tether in the back of the pool and just leave there, but you can't, right? They're only the wind up kids toys that ironically worked really well at agitating the water, because you want something that's going to be flapping and splashing around to agitate the water, but they're only wind up, so they would kind of flap for like 15 seconds and then you got to wind them up again. So totally impractical. And I couldn't find like a battery powered one that you could just dump batteries into and just buy 3 or 4 of them and like tether them at the back of the pool. So this is kind of the process that you go through leading up to a shoot, that you're trying to iron out any potential, like you're trying to force any problems to come to the surface, before you get there, right? And there's no point turning up on the day and going, oh yeah, that'll work, and then you testing it out and it doesn't, right? So thankfully I kind of worked out these issues that weren't working beforehand. Ultimately I was fortunate enough that I had somebody there to kind of agitate it. Would a waterproof vibrating tool have worked? It's a good idea, Terry. It is a good idea. I don't think it would. The issue is, and what I was kind of surprised at with this, Terry, was when I was, this leaf blower is strong, right? This thing will blow. I mean, it's strong. Like it's plugged into the wall. It blows very, very powerful. The issue that I had was it just wasn't able to create ripples, right? I mean, it's blasting into the water there, and granted I'm glancing it off the surface. When I pointed it down, it just creates this pinprick of slight exaggeration, but a very small point of pressure. It doesn't really kind of spread out enough. What I needed was something to actually be kind of moving the water in a more significant way. Even the aquarium pumps were designed to kind of push water underneath the surface, right? They're kind of designed to be sat underneath the surface of the water, and then it works by creating waves, underneath. But again, it's just not powerful enough. So like I said, like the toys with the flapping, like shark tails and that sort of stuff that had a large surface area were really good. I just couldn't maintain them. Yeah. Did the memory card get wet there? I was like, no. Ironically, the memory card got wet when I dropped it in a cup of tea afterwards. Ironically, or like the day before. Those of you who missed my Instagram story, I just put it in a cup of rice. And I just left it there over the weekend, and like I just put it straight back in the camera. I was not expecting that to work, but yeah, Jose, you're right. I managed to make it through an entire shoot without, water shoot without any issue, and then I drop it in a cup of tea when I get home. It is classic. Yeah. Lizzie said, had to pop off, storm moving in, the internet's going out, so she's obviously in a stormy area, bless her. Yeah, we'll come back, catch the rest of the dream later. Yeah, stay safe, Lizzie. Stay safe. So Sin says, I messaged you some examples in Pinterest to your IG. Let's have a look. Right, it is a miracle, Jose. Yeah, right. Like it's. I was not expecting that to work. No way. Yeah, absolutely no way. Yeah. So he. Okay. See if I can copy that. Let's have a look. Really? We're going to go through this now? So Sin sent me... That link's not working for whatever reason, Sin. I don't know why. Let me see if I can open it here. I just want to see what's... So maybe it's a private board or something, Sim, but yeah, it won't let me open it. Yeah. Yeah. It's all good though, all good. So yeah, so the water thing was by far and away the biggest pain point, which is kind of ironic really, because like the simplest solution ultimately was just somebody sat there, bless them, with a plank of wood splashing about, and so that absolutely the simplest solution was by far and away the best, but I couldn't find a convincing alternative. Yeah. I'm saying nothing. No, Jamie. No, right? Yeah. Do tell us, Jamie, if that would work. Is a miracle. Yeah, the Darcy one is more comprehend. I was away on a work call. Did we solve all the world's problems? Kind of. Yeah, kind of. We just got my wife with a plank of wood. That was the solution, Trevor. If you missed the problem, you should be able to work it out from the answer. Let's have a look here. Let's see if that worked. Darcy shoot mood board. That sounds about right. Yeah. Open an external browser. Let's see if it'll do that, and I can copy the link from that. Let's see if that works. Let's try once more, and then we'll. So for those of you not aware, Sim was trying to send me a link, but he's doing it via Instagram. Okay. Okay, so this is really cool. This is really good. This is really good, Sin. Okay, so Sin's sending me this, and he's going to Darcy shoot mood board. The way that he was carrying on, it was like blasé. Oh yeah, just get a bit of inspiration from a movie, and we just kind of get on with it, right? But he's actually done a ton of work, and I would say it pays off in his work for sure. So he's got poses in here, which is really cool. I love this. This is really useful, especially for the models, depending on how experienced they are and that sort of thing. Can really help a lot, right? Color palettes, again, super useful. Make sure everybody's on the same page in terms of colors that you're after, whether it be, if you've got a makeup artist, they, when you say yellow, okay, what do you mean by that? So super useful. So props is useful for him to know he's got to get on the day. So he's got images of the stuff that he's going to be bringing. Cool. Like it. Good stuff. He's got some backgrounds in here as well. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Remember these? Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, examples of the kind of earthy tones, a little bit of texture and stuff in the background. Very useful. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, and then this gives you like a broad overview of the kind of the dreamy, kind of feminine poses as well, right? Nothing too dominant. This can also be useful for you as the photographer, right? What sort of angles are going to work well? Do I need to be up high? Like, what sort of lens are these guys using? Are they using like 85mm? They're using 28mm. We're kind of looking down on the subject a little bit here. Like we're kind of, neck height here. We're not low. We're kind of maintaining that demure look there as well. And of course, like an overview of tones. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so that's a great example. Okay, Sin's kind of redeemed himself for getting us banned last week by sharing that. That's great. Love that. Super useful. Thank you for sharing that. It's worth the effort. Yeah. Okay. That was more of an idea board rather than one setting out a specific shoot. So that's a very broad. If you're saying that's more of an ideas board, like there's very specific ideas in that board though, which is fine. Like you can certainly be in a headspace for a while where you're working through ideas. I know I'm definitely in this kind of 90s kick at the moment that is difficult to shake. So I can certainly appreciate how you end up going down the same road for a little bit until you move on to a fresh project. Yeah. So this was one thing that baffled me. The fact that I, for some reason in my brain, thought I wouldn't need to get in this pool, right? So I hadn't brought any towels. I hadn't brought anything. If I'd known, I would have brought sandals that I could have worn in there. Super dumb. Right, so again, you can plan as much as you want, but there can be something so unbelievably obvious that you overlook, which was me thinking that I wouldn't need to get into this damn pool when obviously I do to adjust the lights and all that sort of stuff. Now, I guess I could have taken the time to hook all the different lights up. I'm using Rote lights as well as Nan light, and I think I had a Godox in there as well. I could have had all the apps open and all that shit, but still, you got to adjust them. It's all very well adjusting the power and color and all that sort of thing, but you still got to move it around, right? I still had to put this C stand in there, and I can only do that once the model's in place, and I got to get the chair in the right place. And stupid, absolutely stupid. Yeah. Just trying to make you shooting in your studios that might get you another strike in your strikes. I know, mate. I know. Get those pasty white feet. It's like, whew, that is offensive. You're right. Yeah. So this is kind of just giving you ideas. So that light there is showing you. So that baby Nan light there is giving you that moon on the background there, like that pool. I mean, that was the philosophy in my mind. Was the mindset for that circle being there was like this moon idea in my head. So the other thing that we're dealing with here is I didn't want her feet submerged in this pool, so we had to come up with a solution to keep the feet out of the pool, right? So just enough. So if we see some of the shots here, right, you can see that like her feet are kind of stood on the water, right? And here you can see, this is one of the early sets where I'm using the leaf blower. It's pretty obvious that there's a fan in the right hand corner there. Whereas if we look at here, right, this is later on in the shoot where my wife is using a plank to kind of agitate the water. Way better. I mean, it's night and day different, right? Yeah. But the same issue still arose with trying to keep her feet out of the water, right? So the solution that we had was 2 large steak chopping boards, which are like 4 centimeter thick, yeah, or a couple of inches thick, and then wrapped in black plastic bags. Now they look absolutely fucking ridiculous here, and I'm really hoping that it's not going to be too much of a retouch issue when we get there. The water was pretty agitated when the water, I mean, because there's nothing agitating the water here, so like they look ridiculous here. But once we've got the like the water being moved around and that sort of stuff, this is pretty well hidden. Plus I'm down low, shooting at an angle. But again, problem solving this issue beforehand, I knew that I wanted the feet out of the water, or like walking on water type thing. So, this was the solution that I came up with. Again, we looked at several things, like buying wood or stacking up perspex and that sort of stuff, and ultimately went with something that I had to hand, which was chopping boards. And then I think we originally wrapped them in black gaffer's tape, but it was like fabric tape that fell off. So ultimately they're in black plastic bags. I haven't seen the final images yet. We'll see how much of a nightmare it is. But yeah, that was that solution. Yeah. So here we got the key light here. This is the Rotolight Anova Pro 3 monster, beautiful light, absolutely beautiful light. As you can see, big beautiful surface area there. I think I go around to the front in a second, and yeah, so like a big light. So great as a key light. It was a couple of things I was kind of like, when she sat down, it felt a little bit high on this C-stand. I didn't have a shorter C-stand. I was like, it was fine. It was, it wasn't a deal breaker, but that again is one thing to be kind of mindful of. And, that should have come out of this really, I should have worked out how high this was going to be. You can get measurements of how high the lights are going to be in these diagrams as well. So it kind of gives you an idea, and I probably should have been able to foresee that. I think with the super clamp and bits and pieces like that, I could have brought the light down a little bit lower, but it is a heavy light, so it really wasn't easy to do. Yeah, but again, these are like all the problems that you're kind of working through on the day that are always going to come up, and like the more you shoot, I've been shooting for a long time, so I'm aware of the potential problems that are going to be coming up. Everything has to be thought of beforehand, right? Especially when you're like not on, especially when you're off site, you don't have everything to hand. And then these were just the kind of the Instax shots. I'll just grab the Instax camera a second. This is this little thing was great, right? So this is an Instax SQ20, whatever that is, right? So you pop up your film, and the thing is that it's kind of like this hybrid Instax. Because you see at the back there, it's got a screen, it's got controls there. So essentially, what this camera enables you to do is it enables you to take a picture, and then you can go print or not print, right? So yeah, you've got a screen there on the back, yeah, and you can choose to go print or not print. So it kind of like it's digital, but it's not. It just means that you've got the option to save a little bit of money on film if you go, that looks terrible, don't print that, right? So yeah, very cool. One thing to kind of note on something like this, and some of you may think, silly little Instax thing. One thing that is kind of overlooked by, I think, many younger modern photographers today is the kind of experience of the shoot when you're actually there, and whether that be with a client, whether that be with the subject who's in the photo, or whether you've got art director or whoever on set, right, or even just the model, just you and the model, is the experience of the shoot that's going on, right? Now, this is extremely important if the person buying the photo is in the photo, right? And I spent many years, I've shot thousands of portraits over the years when I was working in the studio full time. And one thing that always sells images or more images is if the client has an amazing, memorable time when the images are being taken, right? If they have a great time when the images are being taken, they're more likely to buy them, right? You can take phenomenal images, but if they had a shit time during the photo shoot, they're just not going to buy them, right? Because the memory of these images is of them having a shit time with you, like you were moody and like yeah, I mean you got cool shots, but like the studio was freezing, you didn't put sugar in my coffee like I asked, and like the floor was wet. I got my socks wet, and like my kid had toothache, so it was screaming. Like it doesn't matter if you got the shots, right? If they had a miserable memory of that shot, of those shots being taken, you're just not going to sell as many, right? So where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is about the shoot experience. And 25 years ago when I was shooting on film, doing like corporate headshots and, back when I left art college on film, there was a lot of kind of this black magic mystique around photography back then, right? Clients, you have to remember it. This was pre-digital, right? This is you just Photoshop it. This was where people were asking about your camera, like how you doing that, and like what's going on here, and why are you setting that up, and why are you doing this. Like there was this mystery around photography that was kind of magical for the clients, right? It was this interest, whereas now kind of all that magic has kind of gone, right? Oh, he's just going to Photoshop it later and whatever, right? I think my camera's better than your camera, sort of stuff, right? So all kind of that magic has gone. But if you can find some other way to create memorable experiences during the shoot is being taken, then you're going to have a far happier client. You're going to sell more images, and things like this, right, are an easy win, right? You can just buy a pack of film for like 10 quid or something like that, and you're shooting these on the day. Because bearing in mind, like they can't take anything away. You're just shooting to a screen or whatever, or shooting to the back of the camera. This element of having something physical, people love. People go mad for it, right? And they'll start sharing images. They'll start taking pictures of the like people love to share stories or whatever, or photos on Instagram of them doing it, of the Instax. You can even give them these prints to take away and that sort of stuff. All this helps to sell your value as a photographer who knows what they're doing, and they have a good time and a good memory of that shoot unfolding in front of them. So arty-farty crap like this can seem a bit superfluous, right? I mean, I'm shooting on a 100 megapixel camera. What am I doing with it? Like, it's not about you, right? It's about the memory of the shots being taken, the memory of the shoot happening. That is really what I think a lot of new photographers should be concentrating on way more than they do, right? That's just my 2 cents, yeah. I might be late asking, was the tank for the water custom made? Yes, it is. Yeah, so this is made with metal piping, like plumbing piping and that sort of stuff, and the specs were sent off. So the owner Rob there at Studio 88 sent the specs off, got everything cut to size and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was a custom made tank. I think it was there over the weekend, and then obviously the water and that sort of thing has got to be drained and that sort of thing. So it's certainly not it's probably not conducive or easy or hygienic to have it there full time. There is a water tank studio here in the UK that is very, very popular, and they specialize in purely doing water photography that you can hire. Yeah. So what we got here, we got the dog, and then it's just the set with the those these look ridiculous, right? Without the water moving, and granted, when her feet are on them, because it's wood, they do float anyway. So when her feet they do go a little bit lower than that, and the water's agitated, it's fine. But it looks terrible right now. Those two chopping boards, yeah. I think it's pretty much just playing around with the Instax. This is one of those kind of things where people question the value or the credit that you get, and you're like, no, this is unretouched, this is raw, literally a raw image, shooting on Instax. You got the C-stand leg there, and I think you've got a little bit of the plank back there from the agitation, but for the most part I mean, these are absolutely banging straight out of camera, right? I mean, these are raws looking absolutely cracking straight away. So, you know, there's no point in shooting Instax unless you're already good at lighting, right? You can't just be giving them Instax and they look shit and then they just upload those to Instagram. You need to be making sure that the shot that you're shooting is looking great in camera, right? I don't think that's just the model getting distracted by that damn dog of mine. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, this was the I kind of shot this. So long-time followers of the stream may remember that when this Rotolite Anova Pro 3 came out, I was working with Rotolite at the time, and I was responsible for putting together one of the videos to promote this light and that sort of stuff. So I remember in the shoot that I did years ago, we had like a prototype, the thing weighed a ton and that sort of stuff. And like nowadays, every LED light that comes out is IP65, you know, which is kind of rated to basically means as long as you're not submerging it, like pressured water and that sort of stuff, you know, pressured sand, dirt is going to be fine. So yeah, so this was kind of me taking the mick here, because this is just out of the water, as you can see there. And my safety measure was not plugging it into the wall. So it's safer to just have the batteries rather than it plugged into the mains and then falling in the water, right? Again, things that you're trying to preemptively think about before you arrive. You don't want any of these lights being plugged into the mains with the model stood in the tank and then, you know, like her knocking over the light in the water, right? Yeah. So again, you know, trying to be smart with it. So what was funny is Rod, the owner of Rotolite, saw this story and sent me the picture going, "What are you doing? Please do not do that." You know, as long as it's not submerged, it's fine. Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much it. We were there for a few hours, playing around with a couple of different ideas to see what was working and what didn't work, block color, all sorts of different things. So Jose says, planning some DIY tank for my studio living room. Oh yeah, do it, man. Like I said, like all it is like thick plastic that's just lining it, right? So it's just this metal frame that is just cut. Like he sent off the measurements to whatever they're called there, but like plumbing service or whatever, and they just cut the pipe. You can buy the brackets, right? And they just slot into place. Boom, like by plumbing brackets, like a right angle bracket, a 3-way, little feet, whatever. And then yeah, he just sent that off. There you go. So, you know, in this tray is just this black, very, very thick plastic, thick black plastic. It is just then lining it like that and then just filled up. And then he just clamped it around the edges of the metal work there just to try and keep it from spilling out everywhere and that sort of thing, yeah. But one that the model can submerge in a bit. Yeah, so I hadn't planned it, but the model offered at the end to kind of lie down in it. It wasn't what I was planning, but it kind of worked. I mean, I'll probably retouch some just to give her at least. Otherwise, she'll be like, "Well, I lay down in that freezing water for nothing." But yeah, like you can, you know, there is definitely a bunch that you can do with it when they're lying down like that, and it means that you can kind of get in a little bit closer, right? So we didn't do any face down like this, but we certainly did low like this. Maybe more. Yeah, we were doing more like this actually. Yeah, you see that? Yeah, you can. Yeah. So you know, if you're going to do it at the end of the shoot, right? Just because, like, that is a terrible example, that image there. But yeah, I don't think you guys can see that. Bring it up. Yeah, that's just terribly lit, awful. But the premise is there, right? Yeah. So yeah, let's see if anybody's got any questions on that. I think we can kind of wrap it up. Again, maybe I'll revisit this in the future once I've got the images, and you know, we can kind of go through some of the images, and if there's any questions that come out of it. But you know, I think with any shoot like this is trying to troubleshoot as much as possible before you even pick up the camera, before you even set up a light. Try and troubleshoot as much as possible, because there were still problems that we were working around on the day. Like, stupidly, I didn't realize I was going to have to stand in the tank, right? I mean, okay, granted, it just meant that I had to walk around with my trousers rolled up all day. But you know, there's always going to be something that you forget. So trying to troubleshoot as much as possible before you even pick up the camera will absolutely result in better images. And look, Sin shared, you know, his kind of idea process there with his mood boards and Pinterest. Great way to go. You know, look at what other images are doing, and you know, how did they get there? What problems would they have encountered when they were trying to create those images? So that it's just going to give you the best possible chance on the day, right? You know, one of the other issues we had was this horizon line. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. It has to be there. I mean, I just have to retouch out the super clamps here that is clamping the fabric in there, but the background has to be kind of close to the tray behind, right, the tank behind. And as soon as we did that, it started to kick up some of the black plastic fabric here. So we had to go back and then pull all that out and that sort of stuff. So again, you know, just trying to troubleshoot as much as possible, because trust me, there will be stuff you won't have thought of that will keep you occupied on the day anyway. Yeah. Oh, hey, yeah. So this is Studio 88. That's exactly what I was talking about. This if people want to use this tray, Rob, where can they? How often do you get it out? So this is the this is Rob, the guy that put this tank together and stuff, and this is the studio here. I'll put this in chat. And in that video that you saw me playing there, you can see the pipes leading up to it. So that's what Rob is talking about here with the, so he's filling it up and then he's got a pump here as well. Yeah. We transfer pump to the pull the water back out of the tank, down the hose pipe out the door. Yeah. Last weekend each month. So yeah, so he sets it up last weekend of each month, May to September. So if you're in, you know, in the South, High Wycombe area, definitely worth doing. I was fortunate enough that I was able to get it for all afternoon. So, you know, but I would say that if you are going to be using it, you know, you definitely want, you know, don't just hire it for an hour, right, or even 2 hours. I think you really do need to get, you know, if you're going to do it, I think you need to take the time to hire it for a significant period. I mean, I was there 5 hours. Working through problems. Again, if I was to do the shoot again tomorrow, you know, you could tighten that up, but there's going to be problems that you're just not going to be aware of. Yeah. So yeah, go check it out. If you haven't heard of Studio 88 as well, it's like 40 minutes on the train just outside London. Extremely, you know, more affordable than a London studio. You've got daylight upstairs in one of the studios. He's got Infinity Cove in one of the downstairs studios, and he's got this big warehouse studio next door to that as well. So it's great space. Yeah, definitely recommend it. I've used this studio several times over the years. Yeah. So yeah, should be good. This is actually the studio that I'm planning on doing the workshops in later on in the year. So, you know, if it's good enough for my fussy ass, it should be good enough for at least some of you. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, unless there's any more questions on the water shoot, we will check out the images that you guys have been working on over the weekend and take it from there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Because you got to figure out how to do that in my living room, though. 5th floor apartment in Macau. The neighbors might think I'm mental. Yeah, don't forget, right? Water is very, very heavy, so just be mindful of that. Yeah, just be, if you're making, you know, if you're putting a lot of water on the floor, and you're upstairs, just be mindful of that. Yeah, that is going to be very heavy. I'm sure, you know, apartments in Macau are absolutely fine, but yeah, that's going to be Whew, fuck, yeah, that would be very expensive mistake if something was to happen. Yeah, yeah. Right. Let's see what you guys have been working on. 2 tons, Rob. Really? Is it Jesus? I mean, look, I can see it, man. It is, yeah, water is heavy. I mean, you know what it is. You've got to carry 1 bucket of water. Like, it's yeah, it is, man. 2 tons. That is crazy, though, that tray. And that's 3 meters by 3 meter tray, right, Rob? What, 5 centimeters deep, 3 meters by 3 meters. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a program online that you can dial in those stats. You go 3 meters by 3 meters at 5 centimeters in depth. How much does that water weigh? Yeah, there's plenty. I'm sure it's a very easy calculation to work out if you were curious, Jose, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, 3 by 3. Yeah. And what is that? I mean, I'm sure. Yeah. Water weight calculator. I'm kind of curious. So convert. Oh, they're just doing it like that. I'm sure there is, though. Yeah. Oh, you can do cubic. Oh, there you go. So you can do cubic centimeters there. So you can work out like, so how many. I won't do it, but yeah. Interesting. So you could do. So it'd be 300 by 300 times 5. Yeah. So relatively easy to do. Just to get an idea of the weight. Yeah. Okay. I know, Jose. Yeah, adds up real quick, man. Adds up real quick. Yeah. I mean, you saw that tray. You wouldn't think that tray there that I had was 2 tons, would you? That's wild, man. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah. And there is no escape plan, right? There's no saving it. If something breaks in that, like it's gonna go somewhere. Like you ain't stopping it, right? Yeah. I'll not upload anything tonight in case it triggers YouTube. My name will be on the watch list for now. I'm with you exactly, mate. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's have a look then. So who we got here? So Anna's got a shot here. Clamshell set up with white key light, small bead dish, orange gelled fill light, combined with blue and cyan LED lights on a white background. Okay. Half-second shutter combined with some movement of the camera. It's quite modest with both fill color and camera movement in this picture. I think maybe not the most exciting picture. Okay. So look, I mean, and this is clean, man. This is clean. Yeah, but clean, very clean. I actually didn't notice the movement until you said. So that can be good and bad. Like I think it's nice to have subtle movement, and me shooting with LEDs, I've kind of done more cinematic style shots from shooting at like 15th of a second, 8th of a second, and kind of leaning into that motion, or kind of giving the kind of feeling of motion in the image without it being over the top. And I think with long exposure stuff, I think you've got to be careful with it looking accidental, right? And this is the same where, like, if you were to shoot an image and the horizon was just a little bit off, right? You'd be like, oh, no, I kind of like it at a little bit of an angle. Do you? And if you're going to do that and do it properly, right, so it looks purposeful, if you're going to do this jaunty angle, do it purposeful, or keep it straight. And with long exposure, I think you've got to be careful you don't fall into that same trap where it's like, is he moved the camera, or like is this accidental? Is this user error rather than purposeful? Just look, it's a good image. Don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of pointing out that sometimes if it's not full on or a little bit more, it needs to look purposeful. Yeah. So it's just something to bear in mind. But beautiful shot nonetheless, as always, mate. As always. Yeah. Good stuff. So we've got a shot here, John Kenneth. Just recently attended a local workshop with Gatsby theme shoot. Nice. This image was lit by 1 80-200. So if you don't, you guys know it's the good little Godox speedlight thing. Octobox, diffused and feathered. So 128th power, so very low. The background was lit with a continuous light from Snoot and CTO. So we can just see a bit of a glow back here. CTO is color temperature orange gel, shot with a Sony such and such. Sigma 56 1.4. Okay. I mean, beautiful lens. I think that's the art lens. Could be wrong though. Pretty tempted by that if it is, because I know the Nikon do a 58mm. Absolutely love that. I never got it, but it's always one of those things that kind of always had a weather eye out for. I was even looking for it in Hong Kong when I was out there, see if there was a cheap one. But yeah. Okay. This is good stuff, man. This is good stuff. Look, I think this is a great shot. I really do think this is a great shot. I just, for me, one of the things that immediately stood out to me was just not quite enough of a catch light in here. We have this fill light or this bounce board I think we've got here that we can see there. And yeah, so we can see we've got this kind of reflector and stuff there, and just got just a glimmer of a catch light there, and I just wonder, either you move the light or you get her to kind of bring her chin round a tiny bit. I'm actually okay with the pose. I think it's kind of nice. So I think we just need to kind of just adjust that light a tiny bit, just to see if we can get a little bit more light in the eyes. Just personal thing, but again, lovely shot. It's nice to see just enough separation here between the model and background as well, which is nice. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Nice final color grade as well on this, John. Kind of like the way that you've lent into that one global kind of warmer pinky color. Works well. Because CTO back there, and this is definitely not CTO colored, so I do kind of like the way you've taken it. Very cool. Yeah. Got to go somewhere. Ground floor. No, say yeah. You don't want to be beneath you, mate. Yeah. First thing he's going to say about mine is no catch light. Well, so got one from Trevor here. Let's see if Trevor's still on the phone. Yeah, I think he's there. I think this was duplicated from August 25th post. Wasn't sure if you'd be looking at those as well tomorrow. Do you know what, Trevor? Thank you. You just reminded me that I did not do the share shoot from last week. I apologize. Shit. Yeah. Well done. I'll have to go back and do those. So thank you for sharing it again. This is from a recent photo shoot. As a hobbyist, I try to be a bit creative, but sometimes struggle to get away with single light setups. This is done as a poster, similar to most of my work that gets posted on Instagram. Shot on a Canon R6. Oh, nice. Yeah. And the Sigma Man doing work. It's another art lens. Man, I bet they sold a bunch of those. 24-70 at f8. Okay. Single beauty dish plus diffuser. Yeah. Okay. Edited and retouched in Affinity Photo 2. Nice. Good stuff. Blur was accomplished through layers and masking rather than in camera. Okay, so the blurring that we're seeing here, we're just chatting about Anders' shot there, where he was doing kind of the blurring in camera, kind of subtle. This is definitely more dramatic, but Trevor's doing it in Photoshop or Affinity to create this effect. Okay, now, I mean, look, I've been shooting a long time. As soon as I saw this image, I was kind of like, okay, that is post-pro long exposure, but for the most part, people aren't going to know, right? Shooting at f8 is an interesting one. I could see some arguments for it. Yeah. I guess you wanted everything to be in focus here. Yeah, I think you could have got away with shooting this wider than that, just to kind of knock out the knees and the legs and that sort of stuff, and to kind of lead you up to the face. But it's not a problem. I think it works well in the terms of like a poster where everything is kind of flat lay and everything's kind of on the same level, like the text is in focus, the subject's in focus. I think it works. I think it works. The issue I kind of have is what we've got going on here is the kind of like the discoloration that we have in the Can I not zoom on this? Or has my keyboard gone to sleep? Well, you just have to trust me. So there's just discoloration on the kind of skin and stuff that we've got here. Now this can sometimes happen when the key light is just too close and it's dropping off very dramatically. So you can do this, you can have this drop off, but we've got to make sure that we're kind of bringing that exposure down, right? So you can have it in close, you can have it in very, very close, just out of shot here, but we just got to make sure that we kind of keep that exposure low enough so that we're not getting this kind of color breakup that we have on the skin here with this pinkish bluish stuff here. Now, if you really want to kind of have the face kind of bright and graphical and overexposed for like a poster, you can do that, but I would recommend you do it in post, right? So shoot it correctly exposed in camera so that you have all the data in the file, and then if you want to push it in post later on to kind of blanch out the skin, you can do that, but my recommendation is still to have it kind of absolute, all the detail there in the original. Another reason this can happen is where we have lighting crossing paths, right? So that's why we get discoloration. Now there is techniques that you can use to kind of separate colors on the body using my hierarchy of light principle, which I go over in some of my workshops and that sort of thing, which can help you to get cleaner colors by stacking them using certain modifiers. But yeah, it is something to be mindful of. Yeah, so I would just ease off on the exposure of this key light, and if you want to blow it out afterwards, you can do. Yeah. So Tony, this is Tony, the Australian guy we were talking about earlier on, who sent me those images of the girl with the sword, being sheathed and unsheathed in Gemini and that sort of thing. So this is Tony. So Tony says, I used Adobe Firefly to create as a set of balloons in the background. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that's just a generative thing in Photoshop, right? It's just that is Firefly. I'm just using this so I can actually open up the tools. The generate image thing here, right? Yeah. So have they changed it? No, it is still generative fill. Okay, then you change it in there. Okay. I just misspelled balloon twice. Yeah, so I think that's what he means by Firefly, right? Unless there's, I don't use the external program Firefly. Just kind of curious what it'll do, actually. So, yeah, man, Jesus Christ, yeah. So Tony says use Firefly, chose one, and then use standard subject select to post. Oh, okay. I also tried Google Banana, which we were looking at previously, which generated interesting options as well, but I have less control. So that's an interesting point that Tony brings up there, is that the Gemini Banana thing, whatever it is cool, and it can give you like a finished image very, very quickly, but it's kind of difficult to get the level of control, whereas what he's saying here is he made an element, and then he's combining those elements in Photoshop, which is going to give him more control. Makes a lot of sense, rather than trying to go create background with balloons. He's doing it in smaller steps, which makes sense. Yeah, very cool. Okay. Again, with this image, I think you've done a good job to kind of have this overarching kind of theme with the pinks and stuff there. I'm just kind of curious if you can grade that even more. Just to kind of tighten up the colors once you've got the background and the subject locked in. Just doing a final grade can help to once you do a final grade, just to bring both the background and foreground elements, so that they look more cohesive. Yeah, good stuff though, Tony, good stuff. Interesting. So this is Google Banana. Thanks for sharing that, Tony. I hadn't seen that, actually. Interesting. Okay. So Google Banana really does a phenomenal job of making it look realistic. Look at the reflection in the balloons. Are you kidding me? That's nuts, man. I'm absolutely, like, I am questioning whether I'm understanding you correctly here, Tony. So you gave it just this, and it gave you the balloons? No, it can't have done, right? I would need to see the original file. There's no way it's got that reflection in there, right? I must be misreading it. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, yeah. I know, Jamie, right? That can't be. Right? Surely to Christ, that's wild. Let me just read that again. I use Adobe File to create a set of balloon backgrounds. Choose one, and there's standard slap. Yeah, so he's made. Yes, we just made one of these balloons and then moved it around afterwards. Yeah, I also tried Google Banana, which generated interesting options as well. I have less control. Nah. No way. Tony, when you get up and have your coffee, mate, let me know. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay, one from Alan here. Had to do a quick portfolio shoot yesterday. The plan was to do this outfit on my plaster wall, which came out nice, and I spotted my red background and got inspired using clamshell lighting and pushing the colors and editing. Okay, yeah. Thought this might worked. Happened to be her favorite, so winging it was a great choice. Sometimes it's the way it goes, Alan. Yeah, sometimes it's the way it goes. Yeah, this is a great shot. Yeah, beautiful lighting and stuff here. Real clean. Yeah, good stuff, man. Just one thing I just come in here and just have a quick look at. So I'm just going to go into Camera Raw here. I'm just looking at the skin tone. Now I don't know what her skin tone is, so maybe I'm off base here, but it seems a little bit orangey. So we can come in to Camera Raw. We go to the masking option, which you can't see behind my camera there, but it's this circle with the dots around it. And wait for it to find the people. You click on the person, and then we can click on these different options here, right? So facial skin, we can see what's selected there. We want body skin as well. Let's create that. So this given us this mask here. So now I just want to take out some of that saturation. Just give it a little bit of the warmth back there. Just give it a touch of magenta to make sure we're not got any green in there. Okay. So off and on. Just taking out some of that orange, because I know you've pumped up the colors afterwards. I'm just just kind of bringing it back. So let's create a new mask just to show another example. So select people. So it's coming in here, finds the person. We want to come down. Oh, there we go, clothes. Okay. So it's just got the clothes. So now we've got the mask there, the clothes. That's the face. That's the clothes. So now we can come down here, like maybe, pump up the blue of the clothes there. Maybe just give them like a stronger blue color here that is kind of more resonates, in contrast to this strong red that we've got in the background. And what that's also going to do is make sure that all the blues in this image are like the same blue. So really just kind of tighten up those blues as well. Yeah. So again, not much, just off and on, off and on. And again, there's nothing wrong with the blue that you had. We're just kind of looking at the colors that are already there and just kind of tightening them up, right? Now, like I think the background's fine, but if you wanted to do just a basic background, then obviously like you can do, right? You can kind of take out. If you wanted to pump up the background even more, you could do, yeah. So yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea. So again, just tightening up those blues, just bringing down the skin tone a little bit, so just making it less orange. Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, great shot. Like it a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Strong catch lights as well, Alan. Oh, hello, Jamie. Didn't realise you were next, mate. Bit quiet on the stream, so thought I'd check this in. Shoot with Jesse. Thank you for sharing it, as always, Jamie. Yeah. Look, you don't need catch lights in the eye. But Jamie, have you tried that thing where you have like a mini LED on your hot shoe? It is surprisingly effective, right? It is surprisingly effective. Yeah. I was using the Neo there, but it's just too big and heavy. Really, you can't. It's just a pain in the ass. I think if you were to do it, I would just get a real, because of the bloody battery. That's why it weighs a ton. But yeah, like so you see in here, just to, because it's not, you can have it on like super low power wise, right? And all it does is just brings up catch lights in the eyes, so you can still have that drama. Yeah. You can still have that drama, but you just having those catch lights, and having an eye light like that will help to just give a little bit of shape and character to the eyes. But yeah, I would just buy any old cheap one, really, any old cheap lightweight LED circle one preferably, but yeah, something to play with. Yeah, we've got some excuses here. I'm going to try something. It's something I'm going to try with Sophie. It was a quick shot. Could have a fake one in it, but it was reason. It's all good, man. It's all good. I respect an artist that's defensive. I respect it. So from Trinity here, BTS. From a little black dress shoe in the studio, black and white as I'm still learning gels. So it's BTS. So we can allow black and white. Will Gemini colorize this? Will it do it? Where's that? Where is that thing? Close that one down. Where is that window? Is it in there? No. Pinterest board. I've been online for 2 hours and I'm already got a mess of stuff going on here. Okay. Let's see. This is totally not what this is designed for, but I'm expecting big things, man. Boom. Okay. Easy. Job done. We're back. We're safe. We did it. See, AI isn't so bad. It can help us out. Yeah. I just watched a documentary on Helmut Newton and I'm inspired to get into black and white. So you might not see me for you ban me. Jamie, you just got to work it out your system. I get it, right? We've all been there. We've got to work through it. Teething, it's like rebelling when you're a teenager, smoking, doing drugs, getting those tattoos and piercings, taking black and white photos. Like it's just a rebellious phase. I get it. We all go through it. Trinity, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I'm glad that you're playing with gels and that sort of stuff. It is tricky, right? It is tricky. It's very easy to get into. It's kind of difficult to get good with gels. It does take time, but I promise you will get there. Yeah, and by all means, like once you start shooting with gelled images, share them in here, and we can kind of work out some little tweaks to them. Definitely share what you've been working on. Yeah. Rob, it has been ages, mate. Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. So he says, been ages. Thought I'd pop one in. Lovely. Good to see it, man. Good to see it. Nice little off-white border there, Rob. Like it. Good stuff. Got the blue, red, and yellow. Okay, I see you. Primaries. Burger King logo. Love it. Good to see it. But no, the colours are working strong. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah. It's on Amazon Prime. Okay. Also, Mandy's on there. Is it on there, Jamie? Mandy's on Amazon Prime. I have Prime. It's on there. I'm going to watch it as part of the subscription, so there's no excuse now. All right, man. Yeah, I will do. If it's on there, I will do. Yeah, I will do. Yeah. Okay. It's difficult. It's going to be difficult to find excuses now. Okay, so we got a shot here from Lizzie. See what Lizzie's been working on. So last Tuesday, while Jake was giving critiques, I was under the earth in Blanchard Springs Caverns in Blanchard Springs, Arkansas. First, this photo was not a light painting, nor was any sort of color light used. This was done in Photoshop, playing with colors. Okay. However, I created this one like this to give me the general idea of what to do, because I've been invited to come back during a time when they are not doing tours to go down privately and light paint the entire cavern. Damn, Lizzie, that's wild. That's wild. So this is to give me a general idea, and I'll post the actual photo in the comments that I took, then tweaked it in Photoshop. See you in the next live stream. Yeah. So those of you just joining, Lizzie had to step away wherever she is right now. She's going through some stormy weather, and the internet is breaking out. So hopefully she's staying safe wherever she is. But Lizzie, this is gonna be wild, man. That is light painting a cavern. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Very cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That'll be a great opportunity. Wow, that's gonna be tough, man. That is gonna be tough. So this is the original she shot. Yeah, the original. It's a little blurry. I know I wasn't using my tripod yet. Fair enough. Being that far underground, I was using a slow shutter speed to get the camera shake. Yeah. I mean, if you're just want to grab a couple of shots as examples before you go back down. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Also, for those wondering how far under the earth I was, here is the answer. They have 2 more tours that go further down than this one. However, due to short staff, they only ran the Dripstone one. So the short tour of Blanchard Springs Caverns, known as the Dripstone Trail, descends 216 feet. Okay. This is about equivalent 21 stories. It's a good example. Yeah. Going to probably 1 hour. Boom. Features showcase the upper level of the caverns, including large rooms. Yeah. I was in the US. I went into some caverns. God knows where they were. This was about 10, 12 years ago. For what I can even remember why we were in there now. But yeah, it was maybe even longer than that, 20 years ago. But yeah. Look, not many of you know this. I used to do caving and potholing a long time ago, and it is a very humbling experience to be underground in some of these caves. It's just you realize the power of nature is pretty phenomenal. Yeah. So Lizzie, you going back to do some light painting in this, to light paint the cave. That better be a serious tripod, because that shutter is going to be open for a long time. Yeah. If you've got to, presumably, I don't know if you're taking people with you to help, but if you're going to be taking large flashlights, torches to illuminate, the ceiling above, it's going to be a lot. Yeah, I wonder if you could do it in sections, right? Where you could do, I can take shot over here, do some sections over here, like on the roof over here, and maybe light this. Stalactites come down, stalagmites go up, so stalagmites, so do that, and then take another shot, okay, and then come over here, illuminate this kind of area, take another shot over here, right? And then it'd be easy enough to merge them in post later on, rather than trying to do it all in one shot. The reason I say that is because it's pretty easy to overexpose a certain area, right? If you're over here, you're doing this section, and then you kind of overexposed it, you're like, the whole thing is ruined, right? So doing it in sections means that you can verify, rather than spending 20 minutes lighting the whole cavern by hand. Spend a few minutes lighting this section, check. Okay, yeah, didn't overexpose that. Cool, I can move on to the next section and then bring them all together. Could be an idea, right? Could be safer. Yeah. I just had a thought. Did pulling up my earlier image transgression in the last show shoot episode get one too? Do you know what, Sin? That is super stupid of me. You're right. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Look, we're doing it live, right? People are here for the live. That is funny though. Yeah, I'm an idiot. That'd be hilarious if you did us 2 weeks on the trot, Sin. That totally your fault. All right, guys. I'll just give a little bit of a quick refresh here, make sure we haven't got any stragglers. But yeah, another incredible selection of images. Again, long exposure, colored lighting, beautiful colors here with the grading as well. Loving this idea of the movie poster type thing. We're playing with some AI stuff in the backgrounds here. Clean stuff here. Playing with catch lights here. Even had a black and white image this week. Yeah, with BTS. So, like, we'll allow it on this occasion. But yeah, seriously, if you posted an image, thank you so much. Like, it's always great seeing what you guys are working on. And look, it's useful for everybody else as well. You know, if you're kind of working through ideas and getting feedback, it's useful for everybody, right? Everybody's going to be coming across these same issues at one point or another. So, you know, it's good to see for sure. Yeah, like, subscribe. Yeah, do what Jamie says, for Christ's sake. I think that is it. As always, make sure you're heading over to my website, checking out any further learning, any training wise. We got some online workshops here. Check those out. Still doing mentoring with a few of you, which is good. Still doing that, so check that out as well. Like I said, I was speaking to Rob about getting dates in the diary for the next in-person workshop where we can start getting creative again. Now that summer's over and that sort of stuff, we can start doing that. So we'll get some dates in the diaries. Give me some dates. We just need to lock those in, and we can start doing some in-person workshops again, which would be good, man. It'd be good. It's been a while. Yeah. And just, yeah, mate, that is late, mate. That is late. Yeah. We covered your image though, yeah. How long are your one-to-one workshops for your courses? It depends what you're after, Sin, though. If it's like mentoring, it's usually a couple hours. The workshops, the online one-to-one workshops tend to be around 3 hours, depending on like kind of the questions and that sort of thing. So some of the more involved workshops, like the cinematic one, is a beast. Like, it is an absolute beast. For example, yeah. There's like got a 60-page PDF that we kind of go through. So that's not the button I wanted. So that one, yeah, that one is a long one. Some of the other ones are a little bit shorter, but yeah, like this one goes through a lot. Yeah, so that one's like definitely 3 hours. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. Like, mentoring and that sort of stuff is usually in 2-hour blocks. Yeah. All right then, guys. It's been a pleasure. Let's try and do this again in a couple of weeks. I don't know how that dog always knows. He knows when I say goodbye. Like, he's up, he's ready. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And we shall hopefully not get banned again. Fingers crossed. And I'm going to try and find the screen. There's no way I was going to find that hidden down there. But yeah, always a pleasure, guys. Stay safe, take care, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.